You mute.
What's up?
You mute.
Oh, what?
You're mute.
No, I'm not. Welcome, everyone. Sorry about that. Yeah, hold on a sec. I actually have to, my webcam. Of course, there'd be technical issues.
They're here.
It wouldn't be a Razorfist stream without technical issues, though. There we are. Hello. Sorry, I had to unfreeze my, fucking camera. And yes, we do have some echo. Hold on. Courtesy of, Mr. Gell. Terry Gell is here, by the way. Say hello to the fine people.
Hi, fine people. How are you doing tonight?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
You're still muted, by the way.
I think I know what I did. There we are. Sorry about that. And one more fix. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think I was echoed because for some reason, the only microphone active was Terry
Turn
Gell.
me down.
I don't know what the hell happened. All right, folks, we are live here now that we have fixed all this bullshit. We are live with Mr. Doug TenNapel, who is the creator of Earthworm Jim, probably most famously, but he's an illustrator. He's created and helped develop multiple video games, and more importantly, he is currently doing an Indiegogo for an Earthworm Jim comic book that actually just broke an honest-to-God record on Indiegogo for any comic book project, which is actually saying something because, you know, as the comic book industry has plummeted into absolute abject freefall, more and more creators who have any aspiration toward independence of any description have begun availing themselves of crowdfunding. And so this is kind of a new, uncharted territory, and it's pretty clear. We'll talk about it over the course of this stream. We'll just talk everything from the comic to Earthworm Jim to his time doing all of that, his work with Fire and Frenzy, because, you know, that's one of my favorite ska bands. Don't judge. And we'll just talk everything in between. But how the heck are you, Doug?
So good. I can't remember when I've been this good.
Man, you crushed it. I thought that, like, this stream, we were going to have to try and push it over the line. But you just demolished it. Like, what was it, overnight?
Yeah, overnight. Well, you threw the link out, too, yesterday. That was the big thing, was all of my my guys who are out there in mass media. You're one of them. Right. Justin Wang and, you know, all these guys, they threw the link out, you know, Rusty Cage and big guys. And it just blew up last night. And I would say it's probably the equivalent of, I would think about 2.5 million people worth of followers saw that link. 1EG, NG, all these guys are just, Jack Prosiviec, he's like this Catholic guy, has 750,000 followers. Tim Lim threw the link out over the net. So and then it suddenly blew up.
I saw Jack Prosiviec. I'm not even going to try and pretend I can pronounce that name correctly.
Yeah, close. We all just take a guess and we make up.
I'll
whatever.
just call him the P-Man.
Yeah.
I saw that he tweeted it out, and he's got a pretty significant following. I mean, he's a journalist or what have you. He's on OAN, I believe. Which I just think that's absolutely awesome. I guess that would bring me.
So hold on, Razor Fist. This is how huge the online response was. Indiegogo wrote me an email today saying, "What did you do?" Like, even they didn't understand the response. They're like pulling for me.
What the hell? Like, this was a cartoon series. This was a video game series. Needless to say, obviously there were comic books, and there's going to be another comic book. How many comic series were there, by the way?
There was one. I can't remember if there's 3 issues or 5. I think it was a 5-issue series that Marvel put out in the mid '90s.
Oh wow! Irony of ironies.
Yeah, I know, right? So I can say it was blessed by Stan Lee back when it was a real comic company.
Right.
And but none of those stories were canon. I mean, they had guys just kind of make up the writing and make up the art as they went. Really funny books, but I wanted to kind of set the record straight on from the actual creator of the character, where he came from, what the suit was, who all these characters were. So I'm having a really deep backstory on him, and it kind of explains through a marvelous kind of epic adventure, kind of the why of Earthworm Jim in this story.
Right.
So
so you
I
were
get to
you
set
were
the record
doing
straight.
you were doing the Batman Begins prequel before
Yeah.
before Batman Begins.
Yeah,
I'm-
the same way they wiped out the good Batman,
Right.
the Adam West one.
Right, and ironically, that's the only original version of Batman.
Yeah.
Because the other version is just basically the Shadow with pointy ears.
That's right.
But anyway, speaking of which, you have your, well, actually, before we go any further, I want to say, even though he has absolutely demolished and obliterated his original goal and now has to become Super Saiyan with an American flag on his head, which I'm very excited for. It's a Betty. Are you actually going to confirm it is an actual Betty, like? You're
It
basically
is going to
make
be the
Colin
actual Betsy Ross flag
Yes,
that
Betsy
Nike.
Ross, sorry, I almost called it the Betty Ford.
We'll call her
flag.
Betty. She's probably a Betty. She's probably hot.
Right.
It's going to have, so it's going to be blue on this. I had to do this for when I beat the record previously held by Icarus in the Sun. So I have to do on the left side is going to be the blue with 13 white stars and then red and white stripes all the way over.
Right. But to finish my thought, originally you had this relatively reasonable goal, and you've absolutely obliterated that. Even though you've done that, we're greedy fucks over here, and I highly recommend you donate to the Indiegogo and take it even higher. We don't want anyone matching this, because it's a worthwhile project. The art is absolutely fantastic. The whole package looks really cool. The whole hardcover formatting and everything and all the extra stuff that you get, I really dig it.
Yeah, because of the funding, I get to do this the most obscene. You can't get a book like this, normally for $25, but it's got so many pages and fold out pages and little die cut bonuses and gilded edges, and we're able to make this the most obscene, over the top. It looks like Trump's bathroom.
Yes.
That's the art design. Is Trump's bathroom is going to be the cover.
As God intended.
Yeah, as God intended. He works in mysterious ways.
So I highly recommend you check it out. We have a link down there in the description, so it should be easier for you guys to follow. The Indiegogo links there. Also, there's a link to Doug's YouTube channel. He's still kind of getting going over there, so check him out. Subscribe to him. Take him to the top, folks, because boomers need all the help they can get.
Yeah, your show disaster at the start of this show is nothing compared to my being on the air for 15 minutes and not being able to get my mic to work. That was my favorite episode.
I think we've had some moments like that.
Yeah, and the chat's just all caps mercilessly, just calling you names the whole time, screaming, laughing at you. It was good.
If you're not inciting a reaction, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
At least it's not T Boogie's fault. I have to say, before we move on from how you've just destroyed this goal, you've clearly, like you and several other people, have clearly stumbled on an unserved market in comics and in entertainment in general. There's an obscure sect of society that tend to prefer comics to actually remain comics rather than a billboard for every aberrant sexual fetish under the yellow sun. My question is, why do you think that market has remained unserved by comic corporations? Are they simply so married to ideology, or do they have some obscure business model that they think is going to pay off down the road, and it's just clearly not?
It really is that these companies they're not being smart and trying to innovate and think forward, and that includes Marvel. As great as they're able to make movies and things like that are huge blockbusters. If you think about it, they're not doing what Kirby did. Kirby and Stan Lee, they invented Thor. Right. They invented Spider-Man. What has Disney, supposedly they have the most creative people in the world working for them. What have they created? They have made an amazing Thor, an amazing Spider-Man. These are like 50, 60 year old characters. And so they're not paying back into the brain trust of creativity. And I think their business model is the same thing. They're not thinking ahead of where it's going. They're trying to monetize like 10 years back. They're in the tar pits.
Oh yeah, no. I actually disagree with you. I think they are innovating. They have taken it from a business model to a going out of business model, which is a wild new innovation that was originally perfected by Valiant Comics.
Just look at what you do with your audience, right?
Right.
It would be the future of television if YouTube didn't keep just stumbling over themselves. If I wanted to watch a TV show with just any star, Ray Romano or whatever, I can't talk to him. But so the YouTubers, they come and they watch your show. They get to talk to the person who entertains them for that, however long you're on the air.
Right.
That is a huge innovation of having fans and people who are into you talk to you, and your fans, no doubt, of your audience. You have your favorite people in the chat. Everyone has their heroes and villains. And so it really is back and forth. Old school media, Disney, they can't compete with that, with what's going on. That's what the crowdfunding model is also. That's the difference in our comics is we get to kind of have more of like a real life Comic-Con when we make our books now.
And I think the secret to that is real-time feedback. You can create more content that people actually want to see or that will actually be seen. And you can get feedback immediately about what's working and what's not. You can overnight, you can tailor your entire channel in a completely different direction based purely on what people are actually going to watch. Whereas Marvel Comics will doggedly plow ahead with Squirrel Girl for 100 issues because it makes some ham-fisted social justice point. And now that's also another, in addition to the business model problem, is their ideology. The leftist progressive, secular progressive agenda is a religion. And so I don't know about you, but if you ever went up to someone and tried to change their religion by peer pressuring them or putting a gun to their head, they will not bow. If I go to a Mormon or a Scientologist or some Christian who believes something different than me or an atheist or whatever, and I tried to convince them by saying, I'm going to put you out of business or change to my opinion. That's how the left does things. And so because that is their particular ideology, is bury the needle leftism, they also don't know how to treat their audience, and they don't know how to market their own ideas. They used to be subtle. Now they're just going to jam you down and make you feel like a jerk if you don't follow it. And that is what's going to also keep them in the tar pits. Yeah, completely agree. I also have to say, we were talking about how Batman's a ripoff of, everything. I have to ask, I saw you on Twitter earlier talk about how the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set the stage for a lot of different, Cyber Frog.
That's right.
And obviously Earthworm Jim.
That's right.
Inspired by. My question is, do you think Peter Laird, one of the co-creators of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, would regard you as a fascist or a Nazi? Which of those two?
Hopefully both.
Because I don't know if you followed the comics, because there was a while there where Peter Laird owned Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles himself and was publishing it himself, like totally self-published. It was not very good. And
he bought Kevin Eastman out of his share because Kevin Eastman was on the skids, so he took advantage of a partner.
Kevin Eastman had jumped over to Heavy Metal magazine, and he was too busy climbing Julie Strain.
I remember that. I remember that.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, didn't she divorce him and like take a bunch of money? I don't remember what happened there, but
I don't know. But yeah, like his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic devolved into the worst kind of political screed, and it's like, I can't imagine a less appropriate forum for socio-political discourse than mutant turtles fighting a guy with cheese graters on his forearms.
I
can't, and a brain and a giant robot. I can't.
And when they started it, it was punk rock. It was like the late 80s, underground, black and white. They were always trying to draw like, they were trying to make it like Frank Miller, like a bunch of cartoon characters in a Frank Miller world.
Oh yeah, it was a giant I don't want to say parody. It really wasn't a parody. It was a giant tribute to Frank Miller,
tribute.
to Frank Miller Daredevil specifically.
And I think they only drew turtles because he didn't know how to draw humans very well. That's
right.
the only reason why he did turtles.
And Kevin Eastman still got it, by the way. I don't know if you followed the new Turtles comic where he's become
the people who
involved.
print. It's Jostin/API here in Tennessee. That same company that prints this Earthworm Jim and my Bigfoot Bill books print all of Kevin Eastman's new books. So I get samples of everything he does. He's still putting out great work.
Still one of my favorite artists.
He's a great guy.
And I liked Heavy Metal under his... I think he still has some kind of advisory role at Heavy Metal, but it's all Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison's leaving, isn't he? Heavy Metal Magazine? Or
I haven't kept up with it.
I'm a big Heavy Metal Magazine fan, but...
yeah, me too.
I was not a big fan of hearing that Grant Morrison was going to become the editor-in-chief. I actually have a poem about Grant Morrison, if you'll permit me for a moment.
Okay.
A little ode to Dr. Seuss. I do not like Grant on a train. His stilted dialogue's a pain. I do not like Grant in a car. His plots are shit. That's all they are. I do not like Grant in a bed. His ideas, stuff that stoners said. I do not like Grant on a lake. His villain's stale. His hero's fake. I do not like Grant in a hat. I do not want him on the bat. I do not like him in a boat. I do not like one word he wrote. All right. So I just felt
ripping. I haven't even read him enough to know.
I felt the need to throw that one out.
No, hey, anytime there's open poetry,
right?
We like
a little Animaniacs action.
We like that. Little beatnik coffee, need an espresso coffee. Look at how impressive all this is down here. This is like lasers.
Yeah, we got like farts on the borders of all of our video or whatnot.
Animates.
It's especially impressive because I'm just using screen capture, so every single time I have to change a setting, there's like words that come in front of your camera. It's very professional. Yeah. I try and do what I can. Folks, by the way, feel free to ask any questions of Doug here. We'll get to as many questions as we possibly can. I do have Terengel here off in the margins, even though he hasn't sang much, because women should be seen and not heard.
That's terrible. That's terrible. Don't say that about my guy.
I kid. Do you have actually a block of a few questions for him real quick?
Yes, I do believe I do. All right. Golden Cipher says, thoughts on the Trump social media summit. Godspeed.
Oh yeah, what are your thoughts on the Trump social media summit? I was a little surprised that Gab was not invited.
Yeah, I'm hoping that someone told Trump what social media was before he had the summit. But whatever he's about, I'm for, because he's there to turn some furniture over. So I hope they fix this. I don't think government is the right place to fix it, but I just want them to get everybody out of the way.
Exactly. People don't understand that they're looking for Trump to be the savior. They're not really seeing that the messianic symbolism is better applied to our social problems, our societal problems, the fact that we don't really have a unifying principle or ideology or even culture at this point, and you're not going to address that by just electing a different dude, especially when he's only the head of one of three equally powered branches of government. He's not the king of America, folks. It's not happening. And
as soon as he sets precedent and takes the government's hands and puts it into the internet to make everything fair, and then the other party wins, we're just screwed. So you don't want to just set that precedent other than a hands-off kind of thing.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. Oh, it froze me for a second there. Hold on, let me. I was able to fix this last time, so let's try that real quick.
What's weird is we both have full-color cameras. You've just painted your whole room black and white, and you're perfectly.
No, I exist in a world of black and white. I'm
black and white character. You need to turn up the threshold.
I'm like Alexandria Ocasio-Chavez's worldview, actually.
That's right. She only lives in a black world. She doesn't even have it would just be a black screen.
When you're so leftist, you can't exist with Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, that was so good.
When you're lobbing racism missiles at Pelosi, are you shitting me?
Yeah.
By the way,
bury the needle. She's in another dimension left.
Hit us with another question there, T-Bug.
Absolutely. Lord Squirrel Show asks, Evening, lads. Thoughts on the old Marvel cartoons?
Oh, thoughts on the old Marvel cartoons. So okay, which are we talking about here, though? Are we talking about Spider-Man and his amazing friends? Are we talking about, like, 90s?
I'm going to assume 90s.
I'm going to assume 90s. The 90s Marvel shows kicked ass. They were awesome.
Yeah.
Did
X-Men.
you ever watch the one that everybody misses out on? And I think it might have been the best of the bunch in terms of being faithful to the comic, was Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
That one kicked
Yeah.
ass. They even, like, duplicated the Jack Kirby art style on it, which
Yeah.
that blew my freaking mind. Some of the CGI is a little dated.
Yeah.
But
a lot of the 80s and 90s Marvel stuff was actually pretty good. And of course, I was raised on the original Spider-Man from the late 60s. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, the one where the song came from.
Right.
What
about
it was,
live
I thought it was
action?
really good.
What about
Yeah.
live action where he had the Voltron robot?
Yep, watched it. Watched the Spider-Man.
Spider-Man!
And there was an American Spider-Man too that was live action. Like when I was in 8th grade, it was like 79 or 80 or something.
Yeah, my mom was all about that. The live action Spider-Man. Not unlike the Batman live action, which is an absolute classic.
That's right.
Also, what are your thoughts on the Wolfenstein series?
What are my thoughts? Oh, thoughts on the Wolfenstein series. Well, I like the original Wolfenstein. Basically invented the stealth genre, like the sneaking and stealth genre. It doesn't get credit for it very often, but no question Kojima had to have played that because it's too similar to Metal Gear, the original Metal Gear games, which I like a lot. I like the first two Metal Gear, the ones on MSX or NES.
Are you talking about the first-person Wolfenstein? That one?
Well, that came later. We're talking
Okay.
Castle Wolfenstein, the
Okay.
top-down stealth game, very much like the original Metal Gear games. Kick ass. I really liked that game. I mean, obviously it's aged, but within the context of its time period, it was way ahead of its time.
Yeah, and if you put those games on a TV now, even Earthworm Jim, like all I see are pixels. It is so.
But
and
here's
I'm
the
not a
thing, dude.
big tech guy.
That has lapped around the earth and come back. Because people, let me tell you, I played like an SNES game. I forget which one it was a while back. I want to say maybe Breath of Fire or something. And I played a Super Nintendo game on a stream, and I had a filter on it to smooth it, so that it would look better. And people, every other comment was, get that fucking filter off my screen. Get that nonsense. I want those glorious pixels. You know what I mean?
All right. Like Fez.
It's like Japanese porn. People want those pixels.
All right.
So
yeah, that's right. Japanese porn. the blurry pixels.
The mosaic thing works for them.
Yeah. Kind of defeats the purpose.
A little bit. Well, a lot about Japan defeats the purpose of a lot of things.
I guess they watch it for the plot.
How does it feel to be the centerpiece of a vast right-wing conspiracy centered around an earthworm in a spacesuit?
Well, Earthworm Jim is about as unpolitical as I can make him. I mean, he
I know.
really is just it's a lark. It's having fun. I myself, my values are so right-wing and evangelical. That's where all the trouble comes. And then, of course, they can't enjoy what you make, which has, it's me playing in a public park.
Right.
And they have to like destroy that public thing and keep other people from enjoying it.
Yeah,
And so
that's why, I've done
they've been hitting me now since it's been 2008. 2008 was when it really ramped up, right around Obama. It started as early as 2001, 2002, but really hardcore when they started pushing the gay marriage thing is when they came out after me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And 2000. And then after 8 years of Obama, there was just this game of brinksmanship, I feel like. Like after, I think the problem with Obama was he paid too much lip service to the far left, but he was relatively moderate, whether through convenience or I think just because he exhausted all his political capital on Obamacare. So after that, he couldn't really do much after that. So even if he wanted to be the farthest lefty socialist that ever lived, he really wouldn't have had any means to make that happen. So he wound up, look, he tried to get socialized medicine passed. That's not exactly a moderate position.
Right.
So, I think
So,
what happened.
so you can psychoanalyze me because I always thought he was a bury the needle leftist who pretended to be moderate.
Oh no!
You,
I think that's accurate. I actually
Okay.
don't part company with you there. But
Yeah.
his record itself, he
Oh, yeah.
actually didn't get to carry out a lot of those things. I think that actually contributed to it because the far left kept hearing him pay lip service to all these far left and socialistic ideals and the European model and so forth, and it never really came to fruition. So after 8 years, they had blue balls the size of Alpha Centauri, and
Yeah.
they were looking to, make a transformative change. And then when 2016 came along, they were like, well, look, that didn't work. So obviously, our side of the aisle is going to inherit the Earth.
yeah.
And when that
Well,
didn't
back
happen,
then too,
when that
cultural
didn't happen, they started
imagination
getting mad. I'm sorry.
hadn't developed that much. Because I think back then, even the hardened leftists would go, "Do you mind if we get gay marriage legalized?" And so they didn't have the imagination where we are now. And now it's developed to a point. They're like, "Do you mind if we change the gender of your child in the womb if we don't abort it? After it's been born."
Right.
It's like so. I think AOC and all these are kind of a new public eruption of leftism that even the left couldn't imagine back in Obama's day. They may like it now that it's been presented to them, but I don't think it's like they were a bunch of hidden, secret, frustrated leftists. I think they thought they were just a little left to everybody else.
Yeah.
And now with Trump coming out and kind of their war against that, I think it really woke up the woke in a really big way. And now they're bury the needle, like, there's no wall, destroy.
Yeah.
We're going to go rush Area 51.
I mean, look, you made most of your bones and rose to prominence during the 90s.
Yeah.
You remember the political correctness then. It wasn't like this is an invention of the 21st century, but
Yeah.
it's a long way from political correctness that you can still lampoon to, I am fully of the belief that by the time we hit December, I'm going to walk into a store and someone's going to be like, "Happy Hallmark presents inclusive, irreligious, gender-neutral, secular festivity day. Deck the halls with beans of soy." You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then throw a brick at your face.
It's gotten to that point. It's absolutely gotten to that point.
Yeah.
And I think that brinksmanship had a lot to do with the fact that the far left for 8 years was sort of told they were going to inherit the earth, and then they didn't.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
so now
true.
it's just...
It's
I
true.
think actually the most encapsulatory example of this is if you watch the election night, the post-election rant from Cenk of the Young Turks, where
Yeah.
he's just basically having an absolute temper tantrum.
Are
and
you
saying,
GD kidding me? Is that the
"We're
line
gonna
from-
throw everybody out. We're gonna destroy the Democratic Party. We're gonna..." This is the distilled essence of that wing of the party and how they felt after that election.
And it largely is happening.
Yes.
Back in the 90s, when PC came out, or when I first started learning about it, because I was largely politically ignorant coming out of college, but learned about it pretty quick in the 90s. Being PC, we just thought they were a cute little joke. They'd come in and go, "Hey, everybody, recycle, and there's no such thing as objective truth." And we're like, haha, look at those three weirdos off in their little think tank. And then suddenly it got picked up full blown by academia, Hollywood, all of the influencers, because the left is always attracted to power centers. They went after they became the journalists, and now they really own all the megaphones, which is another reason why YouTube is furious that they accidentally gave us this megaphone.
Which kind of brings us back to this is, I don't know if you're familiar with this guy. He's an author. He's a science fiction author. Writes good stuff, actually. Brian Niemeyer. Good writer, cool guy. He was talking on Twitter about how conservatives for many decades, maybe because they were more married to, I'm going to defeat these arguments with logic and not feelings.
Yeah.
That conservatives largely abandoned the arts and, the emotional art forms, things that influence people on a wide... I mean, how many people, honest to God, believed the objective truth of Al Gore's An Inconvenient Truth, which said so many incorrect things.
Oh.
I mean, I quoted it in a video once where he said, in 10 years, mind you, this is a movie from 2005.
Yeah.
In 10 years, there will be no more snows on Mount Kilimanjaro. And last year, there was record snowfall on Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's still snow on the fucking mountain. How many people were affected by that?
But he was artful in how he articulated it.
Exactly. And there was a huge campaign. I remember they were giving that movie away for free to people just
Playing
to get
it
the
in
word
public
out
schools.
there. Yeah, absolutely ludicrous. But that's a good example. We need people to just be making art that is not necessarily, I don't want it to be propagandist. I mean, most leftists who make entertainment aren't necessarily consciously making propaganda. It's just that their worldview informs what they're making. If we just had a little more of that on other sides of the aisle, not even necessarily on the right or far right, but just all across the political spectrum instead of just on one side.
What do you think, though, about Razor Fist? What do you think about the idea that if the left does it, if they compromise the art and just bury the needle with their message, then the right needs to be doing more of that? Is that right? I mean, don't you think that part of the wrongness of their philosophy is how there is no restraint or respect for the actual art form? There's no difference between their...
I completely agree. I completely agree. Unfortunately, I actually did a video about this. I don't know if you're aware of this guy. Do you know about the Hollywood blacklist in the 1940s? Right?
Yeah.
There's a guy who was on that blacklist named Albert Maltz.
Yep.
Who was a writer. He had done a lot of film writing, and he was sort of busted as one of those guys. But before that happened, one of the things people don't understand is the original blacklist really happened on the left. It was communists who were blacklisting each other for not being ideologically pure enough. And Albert Maltz was a perfect example of this. He wrote in, I think it's the Weekly World, communist publication. Mm-hmm. He wrote this editorial about, what would we expect? Will we ask of writers, rather? And his criticism really was of how shallow entertainment had become because people were becoming so conscious of wedging their personal politics into absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And you come to realize that he was dogpiled after all he said really was, man, look, I'm a communist, folks. I'm a communist. And I'm telling you, these movies suck that you're writing. And there were quite a few movies that were written by and specifically for propaganda purposes of communists.
That's right.
Albert Maltz called these people out. Oh, this is shallow writing. This is terrible. Just because you have a black character, for example, doesn't mean that black character has to be encapsulatory of the African-American experience and therefore a political statement thereof that forwards the communistic cause, right? He was making these completely rudimentary points. There was nothing ludicrous about what he was saying, and he wasn't even particularly negative towards his own side of the aisle. He was essentially browbeaten into submission, brainwashed.
Get in line, man. Get in line.
They held him in a hotel room and just browbeat him for days on end, to the point where he attended Hollywood functions, several of them, and was basically compelled and forced to read a pre-prepared speech where he renounced his original position and apologized to the entire world and all of Christendom for having expressed this position. I mean, this is really, folks, they're playing for keeps. Okay?
Yeah, like I said, this is their religion. They don't have a religion, so this is their religion.
You're absolutely correct. I 100%, I'm there with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, sorry. T-Boogie, go ahead and ask another question.
Certainly. Not really a question. The airplane says, in Florida right now, 2 out of the 5 days I've been here, the riptide has been so bad, we couldn't swim. Waves were effing amazing and awesome. I almost lost my Sabaton. Have a good night and screw Taryn.
Hey, screw Taryn. Goodness gracious.
Let's read an actual question.
Right.
Yeah. Taryn actually made that one up. That was actually his comment.
Yeah.
Black Ember says, this is just real quick, just for you. Any chance of an Anthem or Sabbath mythos?
Oh, for me? Yeah, definitely a chance of an Anthem mythos and a Sabaton mythos. Sabbat.
Sabat.
Not Sabaton.
Yeah, not Sabat.
Actually, all three of those bands there are a distinct possibility. I like Sabat. I like all those bands, especially Anthem. The problem with Anthem is it would require a lot of translation work. I can speak Japanese. I'm pretty rusty at the written form, but if I could have some help from people, translating clips and whatnot, it'd certainly expedite the process.
Merlin's Jester says, would dig a caricature of Razor as Earthworm Jim.
Oh my gosh.
I'm long and lean enough.
Here, let me see what I can do. Let me see what.
Dear.
Let's see what I can do.
Oh, heavens to Betsy.
Oh dear.
Heavens to
Well, they
Betsy
said as
Ross.
Earthworm Jim, so that makes the hard part the easy part.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I would say.
You gotta honor the super chat, right? You gotta honor the super chat.
Got to.
Let me see. Of course, I don't have a brush within camera. Oh, here we go. Let me see here. Let me see.
Oh, here we go. Okay, he's doing it.
Mark the top and bottom of the screen.
While he does this, you can ask another.
Yeah, go ahead and do another one.
Yeah.
Another super chat turn.
Okay.
This is the pulse pounding action you tune into Razor Fist Arcade Live for. Of course, he starts with the aviators.
It's the easy part.
It is.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah. It's the two black windshields.
Andreja Jovanovic says, Doug, we live in an overpopulated planet. Please stop encouraging the production of children.
Oh, look at these guys. Look at these Soylent Green. No, it's not. This is the thing. Everyone always thinks that someone else shouldn't exist, but if someone came up and said it's overpopulated and we're going to start at you to cull the population, they'd be, well, no, not me. Start with someone else.
Right.
So I'm just saying, I'm pro-life because I'm pro-you.
Oh.
Exactly.
And then they finish up with, invite me on your show, Doug. Godspeed.
Okay, you're on my show. Get on my show.
He has a great show, by the way. We have his YouTube channel linked in the description here, and of course we have a link to his Indiegogo campaign, which I highly recommend, even though he's already shattered the record like a preteen hymen at Onision's house. We're absolutely enthused by this, and I say you guys donate some more. What the hell?
I want more killer readers because,
reserve
this
your
is
copy.
going to be, this is a huge honking book, and it's not available in stores. So it's like like Bigfoot Bill, I sold those for $25 each. They regularly go on eBay for $150 to $200. You can look it up. So it's the not putting them in stores that make them almost an instant collector's item. These are going to blow through it. So they hold their value. If you're an Earthworm Jim fan, you're flat out going to dig it.
Is this Earthworm Fist that we're looking at here? Is this?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And the instead of a cow launcher, it would be a movie Bob launcher, actually.
That's right. This is I gotta hurry up. So look, I'm just gonna do a black. I'll do a black version of the suit. There's the X.
Hey, I like it. You got another question there, T Boogie?
Absolutely. The airplane says, if the stream is late, make Terran go outside as punishment. Make him feel the sunlight and fresh air. It'll be the torture he deserves.
Oh, God. He walked here, actually.
Yeah, it's so hot.
And just about melted in the sun. Actually, like there's a bunch of cloud cover here today, but still he almost melted. It was absolutely insane. Not a whole lot of fun today. Because it's one of those days where there's all this cloud cover, but it hasn't rained. So it hasn't actually cooled anything off yet. It's just trapping all the heat in. Good time.
The Arizona solar blanket.
Right.
Yep.
Are we all done? Let me take a look at that.
Is he done?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
you
yeah.
got like 800 super chats, man. You
What's
got to
that?
get through these.
Oh, okay.
But hold on. On the book sales, let me show you some of the pages, because I don't think they understand. Like, I'm doing inks and washes on this book.
By the way, I love ink wash. It's one of my favorite things.
So there they are.
Oh,
This is the introduction of the pocket rocket, where he found this airplane engine and he ends up stuffing it in his pocket, and he realized it's got interdimensional qualities. He goes Here he is going into the suit. So this is the first time we've seen the inside of the suit. So there's a full pager from going into the hole of his own suit. And look at all this stuff in there.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
huge ink. Like this page took me, let me get it in close enough so you can see detail. Man, my camera's all wonky. Look at that.
Yeah, I dig it. I dig it.
So it's going to be a fun book. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a good humor one, just so you can see kind of the like he kisses the princess, and she slaps his eyeballs off. She's like,
As you do.
Like, whoosh, whoosh.
Oh,
Look at that girl.
I mean,
Okay.
obviously, if you're going to go after anything on a dude in a giant muscular robot suit, you're probably going to go for the head. The big,
Yeah, and he's
spindly...
still like just a total naive child. So like he goes up and just starts kissing her.
Right.
He doesn't know any better. And then here's Psychro. He's following this tracker, and it's on this bull's horn that's supposed to be in Jim's suit, and he ends up going into a bullpen, and it just starts goring the hell out of him.
Oh, hell yeah.
So he just he goes face down in a cow patty.
And just like that, I'm 10 years old again. I love it.
Yep. And it's going to be in color. So this is before they're colored. It's going to be full color.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of the color artwork already as far as the,
Yeah.
concepts for the cover and so forth. Speaking of which, about how long, panel for panel do you take? I remember my favorite artist is Mobius, French comic artist.
Yeah.
He used to take like a full day or more on a single panel.
I'm doing 2 a day, but my days are 16 to 18-hour work days. So him being French, I doubt if he worked an 18-hour day in his life. And I do a 6-day work week, which I'm pretty sure is also for into Mobius.
Took a quick break to smell.
Yep.
Yeah.
He'll lift his armpit and just bless the world with his fromage.
A 3-hour break.
Yeah, but he is a great artist. His Arzak, the heavy metal Arzak, is just amazing.
God, I love Mobius was an absolute genius. May he rest in peace.
Yep.
Left us recently, I think, from cancer. But
Oh,
anyway,
really? That was I didn't realize it was that recent. I thought I think he's one of those guys that when he died, I thought he died a long time ago.
20. Yeah. Well, he had been doing more recent stuff. I remember he had done the Halo graphic novel, which was interesting. I guess his son liked Halo, so he agreed to do the Halo graphic novel. But it was pretty cool. It was better than Halo deserved, to be perfectly honest.
Did you ever see his storyboards for Alien? He did some of the intro art for that. It looked great.
They also, George Lucas stole the probe droid
Yeah.
from one of his comics, just copied it. His art department just copied the little droid in the background of one of the Mobius comics.
Times were different then, Razor Fist.
He was almost, well, I remember he was, what did he turn down? I think he turned down, Blade Runner. He turned down working on Blade Runner, Mobius did. So they just ripped him off.
And he was also involved in Dune, right? In the Dune before Lynch was working on it.
He did a lot. Yeah, he also did Tron and a bunch of other stuff. He was really big in Hollywood, like late 70s, early 80s.
Early 80s was huge.
And yet when they adapted the Blueberry strip that he did, Blueberry, the cowboy Western strip that he did?
I stole all kinds. Speaking of stealing art, I stole all kinds of art out of that thing. When I did Iron West, I didn't know how to draw cowboys.
Oh, man.
So I was taking all of the cowboys from Blueberry, and I was just making them robot cowboys. But all the scarves, the ascots tied around the neck, and all the hats and stuff, I got from Mobius from Blueberry.
That is top shelf Western art right there.
Yeah,
the
really
crazy
is.
thing about him, before we move on, is he could do literally anything. He'd do his normal comic book style, like in Blueberry. Then he'd do that crazy detailed Arzak, Silver Surfer, Parable stuff, which he did a comic with Stan Lee, which is genius.
Yeah.
And then he'd do full Renaissance frescoes. It's this guy could just do anything.
Guys who can draw, guys who have the principles down, can move them into anything. So that's the thing that the Europeans had that the Americans didn't often have in our schools. They practically taught that kind of robust stuff in their public schools. Their art departments are nuts.
Which is interesting because I predicted for a long time, because I'm a big French comics fan. Bande dessinée is it's just been an obsession of mine for years. I predicted for a long time the American industry, the way forward would be to do more of the style they do, where it's little mini graphic novels in hardcovers that come out a little more rarely, 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah.
and
So-
people pay him more of a premium, and that's kind of where we're going here with this crowdfunding.
This is big.
stuff.
Yeah. This is Bigfoot Bill. This is
Yeah.
my format in a way that's very different from others. It's like the European model. These are 9 by 12-inch books. These are all hardbound. This is all the gold leafing and stuff. So you can see I'm more turned on by like, this isn't a throwaway book. For $25, this thing is something that you put on your coffee table. And it's definitely a European model, oversized art and really high quality cover stock is what I'm doing. I got that from the frogs.
Excellent. Got another super chat there, sir?
Oh, plenty. Everybody is curious tonight. John Horn says, General Jack D. Ripper did nothing wrong.
Okay.
The last says, hey, Razor, have you seen how Thomas Homan owned AOC?
No, I haven't. I've said before, I think the best way forward is to ignore AOC. She's in a tiny district. She's not that important. Calling her the Sarkeesian of socialism was not purely for alliterative processes or purposes. It was because I truly do believe if you ignore her, she will go away.
I'll tell you one thing. I saw that where that guy nailed him that he's talking about, that clip. I saw it. She's cute as a little bug. She's got a little empty head, but she's cute as a bug. I thought, oh, look how adorable she is. And they go back to Holman, and he just looks like your alcoholic, huge, abusive uncle. And he's just laying down facts on her, just absolutely dismantling her. I'm going like, but she's cute as a bug.
And that's the problem.
And in our society, that's all you need.
It is. And the
adorable.
optics don't look good. And here's my argument. A lot of people on the left who do not agree with her at all are defending her purely because of who's attacking her. They don't like who's attacking her. So it's like they reflexively defend her. If you stop attacking her, the left will go back to disagreeing with her. And then it will trigger, because they're already overdue for like a full-blown leftist civil war at this point.
That's right. And if AOC had a stroke, or she was a severe burn victim, or if she was in any way overweight, she'd never have a career.
Right.
It's purely like, this is for all these feminists that are like going, women shouldn't wear makeup. You don't got to doll up for men. She's like this amazing archetype for men. She like totally defies all their principles. This isn't a meritocracy.
Right.
Look at her. She plucks her eyebrows.
Indeed. My favorite thing about her was when she had the Twitch stream where she was decrying the evils of capitalism while assembling IKEA furniture. That was my that was my favorite. I was like, Jesus Christ, why not just swill a Diet Coke while you're doing it? Really, like
she's like, where's that damn little Allen wrench? Oh, where's the glue for the pegs for my particle board furniture?
Wait a minute, I'm gonna check my stock. What the fuck? Like, holy God. Anyway, go ahead and continue.
Filipino white boy says, thoughts on the Cowboys of Moo Mesa cartoon?
Oh, Cowboys of Moo Mesa. I loved Cowboys of Moo Mesa. I tell you what, as far as 90s cartoons go, I will take Cowboys over Soy Boys any day.
That's true. But think of these were all like they churned them out. Biker Mice from Mars, Radioactive Black Belt Hamsters.
Sharks.
Street Sharks.
Yeah, they were just totally riffing off of Ninja Turtles.
What was the other one?
Ninja Turtles created a whole genre of
Samurai Pizza Cats too, and there was
SWAT
one
Cats.
or two others too. And then the Turtles went ahead and ripped off Power Rangers with the live action show, which you gotta love. Then they had the crossover, but I liked Cowboys and Moo Mesa. I thought it was boss. Wasn't there a video game too that was pretty good? It was like a beat 'em up.
Yeah, I think so. I remember something like that. I'm wondering, did the Cowboys have udders? They didn't have udders, did they?
I have to ask this, provided we're not betraying any industry secrets or confidentiality agreements.
Yeah.
Were there ever any talks of maybe doing a different style of game for Earthworm Jim, like a different genre or a spin-off or like?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Awesome.
We've always talked about, we just saw him as a character that could go anywhere, but we knew platform gaming best, and that was the one that we all liked the best. It's the funnest, platform shooter. So we're always open to other forms of gameplay. It's just you got to be sensitive of the fans, and the fans came because it was a great platform shooter.
Right. Great freaking game.
Yep.
We were going to play it here tonight on the stream, but we weren't really set up for it. So we're barely set up for this. So just count your blessings.
Nothing but professionals here.
Right.
Mercenary X says, still not getting notifications. Well, you got the push
no
ones
notifications for the stream. It's purely word of mouth here on the Wrong Think channels on YouTube.
Anyways.
Yeah, they will get notifications from your Twitter stream, and you always announce a show. So if you follow him on Twitter, then you'll get the announcement.
Twitter and Facebook and Gab and everywhere else that I can be bearded.
Anyways, you said Filiberto's was the good one, right?
Filiberto's? Yeah. Although there's another one out here called Federico's that's really good. I'd say it's about equal. Well, maybe it edges it out just a little.
Are those the Mexican shops?
One. Yeah. Have you ever been out here over on the West Coast with the Filiberto's? I think.
Well, I was raised in California, so for me, it's all Roberto's.
Right.
It's Roberto's.
Well,
I love it.
Filiberto's is out there in California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carne asada burrito, rolled tacos, guacamole.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He's got one within driving distance, and he backed Doug's Earthworm Jim comic, $75 tier.
$75 tier. Well done.
Wish
Thank
he had
you, my
more
friends.
so
We're already up to, I think, 640 now. I think we're up to 640. So you're basically paying bonuses to my crew now, because all the stretch goals are bonuses to my crew.
That's awesome.
Good.
But you'll get a pack. We have a full pack of trading cards. If you're into the old school where you buy the little package and you chase cards, I have a 90 card Earthworm Jim set coming out. Has a sticker and 3 cards in each pack. Each backer gets at least 2 packs, and some of the tiers go up to 3 and 10 if you go up, a ways. And it's going to be, you can win a free page, original page of art, one of these original pages if you get the golden ticket. And we're putting original drawings in. It's going to be a blast.
Oh, I love it. I love hanging original comic art on my wall. I'm going
to throw a little surprise original watercolors like this in there. Look at that little watercolor over.
Nice.
Wouldn't you like to open up a card pack and get that thing? Original watercolor.
See, and I think I'm devolving as a human being. I've actually started buying baseball cards again.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, I was into baseball freaks, and wacky packs were my big thing. Baseball super freaks, and odd rods and wacky packs were the card sets that I collected, and Star Wars trading cards.
Naturally.
007 Cloud says
groovy.
Groovy.
RPC Black Wolf says.
Sorry about that. I unmuted you for a second.
Groovy. I did the voice in the game, so I get to say it. That's all. There.
RPC Black Wolf says, thoughts on AOC being sworn in to answer questions.
What is she being sworn in to answer questions
I have no idea.
I don't know. She doesn't do terribly well on Q&A portions of anything. Let's be real. I don't know. That can only go.
She looks really lost when she starts talking.
Well, really that's one of the reasons I call her the Sarkeesian of socialism. She's essentially a front person for other people. She clearly, you'll see one of the big tip-offs with Sarkeesian when she was, the holy terror of YouTube, was she would say something earth-splittingly retarded. Mm-hmm. And then a couple days later, Jonathan McIntosh or whoever would get to her and say, hey, that was really retarded. You should say this instead. And then 2 days later, you'd have the polished version of that message out there, and they'd repudiate everybody who had pointed out that she was...
Didn't know what she was up. Did you see her hitting Earthworm Jim? That was like one of her second, third videos. She brought up Earthworm Jim. She did not get the joke at all.
What?
Like Sarkeesian did, yeah.
What did she specifically criticize? I don't even remember that.
It's when she was talking about princesses in video games, and she said Earthworm Jim had Princess What's-Her-Name, without realizing, like, we named her Princess What's-Her-Name because all the other princesses were so replaceable that we called her Princess, like it didn't matter what her name was. And of course, Sarkeesian's so slow that she didn't get that it was a joke.
Oh, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Random Goon says, oh my god, Razor with the Earthworm Jim god, that is Doug. The man who beat Amazing Cyberfrog is here. This is amazing. All I need is a Terran reading out my donation. Well, there you
Yeah, I really dig the Cyber Frog as well, I have to say.
Yeah, me too. I'm getting Cyber Frog, and we're all pushing each other. This is friendly competition. I don't, it's we're rooting each other on. We want to see this space grow. And when the other guy grows the space, all of his backers come in, they start learning about how Indiegogo works, and they're available to the other audiences. So the more people this is on the front end of this movement. So the more people we bring in, the better off. I'm doing my own thing. Ethan's doing his own thing. And that's just, but I'm a huge fan. And certainly I've gained a lot of wisdom and strategy from him on how to do this.
Hell yeah. For first effort, I mean, just destroyed it. That's pretty killer, I gotta say.
Yep.
And a lot of just word of mouth. It has to be said.
It's all word of mouth. It is all backers. They're in complete control. Because I almost feel like I can't get people even to see this thing, because if they did see it, they're such Earthworm Jim fans, they'd come into the comic. But you can't on the internet. How do you get someone to see something?
Right.
And that's the biggest hurdle to overcome.
Yep. All right. You want to rock and roll there? Let's get a few more out of the way.
Yeah. Oh, you had me muted last time.
Yeah, I did. Sorry about that.
Matt V says, hey, maybe Doug will let you cameo in BFB 2?
BFB 2?
I'm not sure.
Oh, Bigfoot Bill 2. Yeah. We do have tiers. I do throw cameos in all the time.
Nice.
I'll put you in a biker bar. I'll put you in a beauty parlor or something.
A leather bar called the Pump House.
I'll put you in a catheter commercial.
Right.
I'd pay to see that. Mark Mann says, congratulations on reaching the 600K mark.
Hell yes.
Mercenary
they
says,
said we got 640.
Yep,
So that pays we're getting on the bonuses for my flatting and coloring department. We also just passed 7,000 backers.
Wow.
Which is huge. Huge.
Mercenary says, tell Doug that I am sorry I couldn't get the double pack. I would get more, but I only have a limited amount of cash. Also, Doug, you gave me a lot of hope, and you are doing the Lord's work. Can you pray for us all, especially for Vic, the voice actor? I can't pronounce his last name.
Right.
Yeah, Vic, we call each other, so I pray for him. I certainly pray for him every day, but I encourage him and just say, it's important for you guys to go out on Twitter and tell him, we dig you. You're a great guy. You're so talented. When he hears that, that's all he needs. You don't need to go and attack anybody. Just go give him your love. And when he feels the support of numbers of people behind him, it will give him strength and bravery. So it helps a lot.
Exactly. No. That's 100%. You can also see, I mean, gosh, look at what's going on with Michael Jackson and his family and all the accusations there. I feel like a lot of people are stratified and taking, battle lines are being drawn and they're doing this, when honestly supporting the family, letting them know, hey, like, we don't believe your father did these things. You're good. You're going to get through this. It's okay. I feel like that's almost more constructive in a lot of ways. And of course,
plus anytime you're going after him, I always feel like it's a kind of, don't look at my sins. Let's look at that Michael Jackson guy. I'm always suspect of, what the fuck is it your business to talk about a dead guy forever and these allegations? I'm just going, how are you benefiting? Are you cool? Are you big? Yeah. Are you big now?
Well, and that's another thing. Like, I feel like every time there's another accusation, another wrinkle in the Harvey Weinstein story or Jeffrey Epstein or whatever, it's always, oh, look at Trump. Oh, look at Michael Jackson. Oh, look at, it's always misdirection, and you see a lot of the same people who are linked financially. Funny how that works. Yeah. Sundance being owned by this guy who also happens to be linked to Epstein and so forth. So,
but the biggest reason why most of us take shots at other people is to protect our own frail ego. Yeah. It is to point that thing on anyone but us. Because if any one of us was treated, even like AOC or Michael Jackson or whatever, and just called a dumbass your whole day, it feels terrible to go through. I've gone through some of that. And by the way, the thing that sustained me were my fans that said, Doug, you're talented. We believe you. We dig you. And you can take on a lot of heat if you just have, I've always said, if I have one friend, I just need one friend, and I will absolutely go to war. I'll run through the broken glass. I don't need 800 people. I need one faithful person, and I've got a lot more than that. So I'm blessed.
All right. Rocket T Boogie.
Bryce Brierly says, some funds for inviting Doug. After seeing him crush it on Raketa, I'll follow him from live stream to live stream.
Hell yes.
Oh, fans.
We just want to like make sure this Indiegogo doesn't just peter out. We want it to thunder across the finish line.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we want to
already
crush
broke-
them.
He already broke the goal. It's not even about that. It's just we want to sustain the momentum till the last possible second to really show, hey, there's an unserved market here. People love Earthworm Jim. I mean, people were always going to donate to something Earthworm Jim related because it's Earthworm freaking Jim. But I think it's really what this is pointing out. It's really the point this is making. It's the message it's making, not political, but in terms of, hey, regular comic readers are out there too. They don't need every single social or political point that they happen to agree with to be represented.
Yeah, they're listening. They're
Yes,
They're listening, and frankly, they're scared. They're listening, and they're scared because they see. Look at, I'm getting the kind of attention that the biggest woke names in comics are getting, and I'm over here doing it with just zero. I'm not a corporation at all. I'm just a guy making a comic, and these huge companies are they're terrified. Culture is furious. Like, we must punish this guy. We must put him back in his place. And I'm not sustained by one person. I'm sustained by 7,000 backers. It just, good luck. Good luck.
Good stuff.
Mark Mann says, I was on Raketa once. He's a cool guy.
No, have to agree. I had a blast on the stream with Raketa.
He's a good friend. I think I might go on him tonight, but I mean, I gotta get to bed, man. I'm flying to San Diego tomorrow.
Dude, you've been tireless in this. I mean, last night last night you just about passed out while we were corresponding. So
that
I
was
can imagine.
bad.
I can imagine.
I was not in a good place last night. I was starting to really lose my mind.
That's
Sleep
the thing.
deprivation.
Look, it's great that this has been a success, but you got to do it yourself, and that's rough because Marvel's got a PR department. People are going to find out about the new Marvel comic because Marvel's going to make sure they got a whole team of people who make sure that happens. It's not like Joe Quesada's just sitting in a room making tweets all night.
That's right. And that's why I rely on my backers. They're kind of in charge of social media. They have to put the link around. But like, if I don't go over to that computer and change the thumbnail that says I crossed that line, that stretch goal, it doesn't update the campaign. So it's like, it's me or I have an assistant who comes in, a kid who helps me out. But really, it is exhausting for one guy to do. And really, I'm made to sit here and draw. Like, I want to sit here and draw and make comics.
Right. Which is good. That's the headspace you need to be in for that. You just need to be locked into your art. I always felt that way.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
Emperor Caesar says, Yo, Razor Dude and Mr. TenNapel.
Yep.
The dream lives that you two team up in an amazing live stream. Earthworm Jim has been one of my all-time favorite games on the Genesis. Stoked for my copy of the comic to show up at my door.
Did you have, by the way, that leads me to a question. Obviously, it's probably a banal question you've been asked a million times before, but did you have a preferred version of the games?
Oh yeah. I've answered it a lot. It is the Sega Genesis version is my favorite.
Yeah.
And it's probably a slightly, and not the classic one on cartridge, because the controls are just so tuned and tight in a way. And most players can't tell the difference between Sega and Nintendo. There is a technical difference, but there's a few frame drops in Nintendo is all. But the Genesis, I believe, is the best.
Oh, okay.
Mussolini says,
Boppity boopy.
Boppity boopity, Razor.
You did say boppity boopity.
It is an honor to meet the creator of Earthworm Jim. My favorite villain was Psychro. Seriously, Razor, I want to challenge you to an Italian biplane duel. It would be an honor. Well,
it would be a 15-second honor.
Yeah, Razorfist is biplane curious.
let's see.
Go on, T Boogie.
Justin says, I have no message to spread. So instead, I shall spread my wallet and give you money. Well, that's very nice of
I'm
you.
glad you're only spreading your wallet, sir.
That's right. I shall spread the elasticity of my underpants and let you tuck it in.
Let's
So
keep
thank
this
you for
PG rated.
that. Yeah.
Gara Schneider says, "Hey Doug, big fan ever since Earthworm Jim. What was it like to work with Tommy Talarco? Sorry, I'm bad with
Tallarico.
names. Tallarico, yeah.
There you are.
Tom Tallarico is a great, funny guy. Still is a dear friend, and we're almost too much alike. We're pretty big out there personalities. Same with you, right? And I tend to seek out quiet friends. So, but Tommy is a faithful friend. I'm telling you, when his company got smashed for me, like criticized by the left for me being involved with the game, he went and hit right back and said, "Nope, I'm standing with my friend Doug."
Man, that's rare nowadays.
It is. It is. He would only get Scooby snacks for throwing me under, and he didn't. So that tells you everything you know about a man, that he's a man in full.
Any interesting stories behind the scenes?
The interesting behind the scenes stories.
Fights. Most of our fights were over what is good music, because we had a bunch of Brits and a bunch of English, a bunch of us U.S. guys on the team. We were all into Beastie Boys, Cake, and They Might Be Giants. And the Brits were into Live, and I don't remember what else. It was terrible, whatever it was.
Oasis.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But so it was fun. It was a really close knit team. We really loved each other, and we really pushed each other forward. There was a lot of respect, and it wasn't like mean competition or anything. It was really a cool time. Really rare. We just kind of fell into each other. It was cool.
You did the E3 thing before, obviously.
Yes, we did.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about all the permutations E3 has gone through? Because you start out as like a full-blown trade show, then it becomes like just an industry show. They like shut out audiences, and now it's kind of back to being just nothing but pageantry, and there's really not much of substance.
Yeah.
Now people are starting to pull out of E3. Sony this year wasn't even there. And really didn't have much to show, so it's probably for the best.
It dries up. And there used to be so it was E3 and CES was the entertainment expo that they had out of Chicago and Vegas every year. And E3 kind of took over all that. But, the trade shows, you had to go dog and pony and just show stuff off to people. But the actual game teams didn't really care. Everyone's mostly terrified of what does this respected critic think? What do the buyers at the stores think when they go around, just looking at games? Video game teams pour their life into this game, and the salesmen kind of go by and just look at it and go like, yes or nah. And word of mouth starts swelling around certain games, and suddenly everyone starts going to them, whether if they're good or not, who knows? But I'm not into the trade show thing at all. It's just not a big deal. A lot of money. And a lot of booth babes and a lot of money thrown around, and they would give stuff away, like high money stuff, because there's so much money in games.
Right. And that was always a thing, was the booth babes. When Sarkeesian first started coming around, that was one of the first big controversies. Oh, booth babes are massively sexist. I was like, yeah, it's massively sexist towards men, because it presumes that all men are led by their dicks and will automatically buy or purchase a product purely because there's a woman in a bikini behind it. Like, folks, sexism, that door does swing both ways.
And Kim Sarkeesian, I just want to say, also probably a solid 8. I'm just saying. She's got the AOC disease.
Well, there's no accounting for taste. Continue.
I've seen some rank booth babes, so I'm just saying.
I'm sure. Back then, I'm sure a lot of them had C-section scars. Merlin's Gesture just pointed out something that I find kind of interesting. Said, my poor self is hoping for a second printing of the comic. What is the prospect of more than one printing?
Oh, always. So, but what I do is I change the second printing from the first. So there's always just one small group of the first printing. So I might remove the gold leafing from all future versions, or change something about it just so that, or I might change even the gold leaf, the gold gilded edges with the silver gilded edges. It's the same book, but there has to be something unique about the first printing on all my books. That's just a hard rule that I have. So I'll definitely be doing future printings of this book, and my goal is for you to always be able to get it. I'll open my Indiegogos up every 6 months, maybe every 8 months, and I'll offer my back library as my goal. But once this first printing is out, I look forward to doing a second printing and then changing something about it.
Quarter Black Garrett from the Crowder Show just said air quotes small printing. Small.
Small.
Right, exactly.
Small. Just a small printing of 10,000.
Just a little, dipping the toe in. Go ahead, T Boogie.
N.A. Roberts says, does Mr. TenNapel like Sabaton?
Does Mr. TenNapel like Sabaton? This is a running gag on the show, by the way.
You'll have to explain it to me.
It's a band. It's just a metal band that sings about winged hussars and history and giant battleship. It's power metal. It's goofy, nerdy power metal is what it is.
I'd have to listen to it. If it's got a hook, I'll like it. If it doesn't have a hook,
right.
No way. Hey, I gotta hold on a second. I'm gonna mute my mic because I have to use the restroom. Go hit those super chats.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
I'll hit the ones that are addressed to you, sir.
Yeah.
Thy Raven Wing says, it's funny how director Tim Miller is trying to market the next Terminator with feminist BS, like we don't already have a female Terminator TX in Terminator 3.
Sorry about that. Repeat that. I had you muted for a second.
Thy Raven Wing says, it's funny how director Tim Miller is trying to market the next Terminator with feminist BS, like we didn't already have a female Terminator, the TX, in Terminator 3.
I mean, name a James Cameron film that hasn't had a female in a prominent role. You know what I mean? Like, this is kind of his thing. There you go.
Okay.
It's just ridiculous historical revisionism. It's as if feminism didn't exist until 2012 or something. I don't understand how they could wake up in this world and actually believe that. I really don't.
Let's see.
Doug's not gone. He's coming right back.
I'm trying to pick out questions just for you. Andrea Jovanovic says, gentlemen, what are your opinions on Japan in general?
Well, I've been there. I've done volunteer work there, and I really enjoyed it, although there's a lot of illusions people have about it that, for example, they don't take credit cards everywhere. In fact, they don't take credit cards at a lot of places. Pretty much everywhere in Japan shuts down after 9 o'clock. There's a lot of crazy stuff that people, I feel probably wouldn't believe about Japan. Air conditioning is considered kind of a luxury. You ever been to Japan, Doug?
5 times.
Oh, okay. I've been twice. But it's, air conditioning kind of a luxury. I mean, hell, hospitals are shut down on weekends. Hospitals shut down on weekends.
True.
Hospitals shut down after 9 o'clock. So don't have a heart attack.
What people don't understand is that here in America, what we consider middle to low class is solid middle to upper class in Europe, in most other countries.
Right.
Like for them, air conditioning is a luxury. Having 2 cars, having cable, stuff like that we just our poor take for granted. Is often very tough. In France, when they would have like a heat wave, like 10,000 elderly people would die.
Yeah. So that was the stuff I found interesting was, you better have cash all the time. They're not big on credit cards or debit cards or anything like that, which was really hard for me to adjust to because I am like a debit card fiend. It's a culture shock. Nobody speaks English. Nobody. Luckily, I was volunteering at like a school, so I knew people there who could speak English. But man, if you go out with somebody who does not translate, you are boned.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
But the thing I do like about Japan is it is the country where I felt the most safe anywhere I went.
Yeah. It's it's mellow as hell.
It really is.
Even going to like a densely packed urban, downtown area, you still feel remarkably safe.
You're not going to get robbed. You're not going to get raped in Japan. It's awesome.
Yes, that is very awesome.
Yeah.
Tickleson says, "Hey Doug, just wanted to say that I love that joke in the Earthworm Jim cartoon where Peter Puppy reads the framed letter from President Truman. Pure gold."
President
I don't-
Truman?
I don't remember that.
Oh,
It's been a long time. It's been a
It's
long
been
time.
a long time. How involved were you with that, by the way?
I was an exec producer, so I read every script and would make notes and stuff. But really,
on.
you know,
Nice.
it's not like I didn't write an episode or anything. I would write gags and design all the characters, but mostly just kind of oversee stuff.
Oh, okay.
Ethel says, "So exactly how much fun did you guys have making the soundtrack to Earthworm Jim 1 and 2?
Which is great soundtrack, by the way.
And was
Yeah,
there
that's
any
Tommy
particular reason
Tallarico, and
you
really,
used so much
we-
classical?"
Hold on.
He would just bring it back in and it would be done. Like, and we would laugh about it. You know, oh yeah, that classical piece. We would decide like what level it would go on, maybe, and just like hammer it into an awful level where it didn't belong. And we thought it was so hilarious that, you know, there's the Blue Danube or whatever in the middle of this episode of this thing. So he would bring his music in. Really, Tommy and his guys would kind of craft it and just bring in, hey, look at this. And this is back in the Genesis days where like you'd listen to it and go, if you can get that to sound like that, anything near that on a cartridge, it's the best song in the world. That's the limitation of the software back then.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
Hardware.
Although a lot of that led to brilliance. I mean, I've talked about this before, but, you know, Mega Man / he was called Rockman because the whole idea was, you know, the soundtrack was supposed to be rock, but how are you going to do that on an 8-bit, you know, NES
right.
or whatever? So what they did was they just kind of, okay, we'll just make it really basic. We'll kind of do the basic guitar line, but do it on like an 8-bit synthesizer, and we'll do what we can. And it created, I mean, gosh, I don't think anyone has any problem with the Mega Man soundtracks. They're some of the best ever done, right? And once they got to Mega Man X, you had the Super Nintendo, you had guitar synthesizers, you could make it sound a little bit more metal. But, you know, limitations sometimes can really create some gold.
It does. You know, Tommy had the actual drum sounds don't take that much space, right? Because it's just like a bump. So he'd focus a lot on drums on a rock song, just be like bum, t, bum, bum, t, bum, bum, t, bum, bum. It's the same sound effect. It doesn't take up hardly any space. And it ended up being a really cool feature, is using rhythm, pushing you to rhythm instead of trying to make something sound like an orchestra that you can't do, you know.
And was there any particular reason you used so much classical?
Yeah.
You know, Earthworm Jim's design was mostly about being iconoclastic. So because it was more of a screw around Tex Avery non sequitur world, going with kind of straight classical, very responsibly played was funnier. It's like if you look at the cow that's launched, it's almost an anatomically correct cow. It's not a cartoony cow. It's in a cartoony world, and this cow looks like we actually took a photograph, scanned it in, and cut a cow out. So just the contrast is what we were looking for.
Yeah. Random Goon would like to know Doug's 3 favorite metal bands and Razor's thoughts on them.
You say 3 favorite metal bands?
Yeah, let's go 3 favorite metal bands, and then I'll
Does,
give my
I was on your
thoughts.
show and we were talking about Queen. Does Queen count?
Queen, yeah, I would say Queen absolutely counts.
Queen?
I did a whole metal mythos on Queen.
Sure, I'll definitely do Queen, and I would say it could. Well, I own the box set of AC/DC and Zeppelin, but those are kind of easy answers. But my stuff goes back. I like going back to kind of the more analog sound of Zeppelin, AC/DC. I don't know if AC/DC counts as metal either, but it's got grinding
AC/DC
guitars.
gets lumped in with that. Do you like Accept? That's similar to AC/DC.
I'm not familiar
Balls
with
to
them.
the Wall.
And none of the
You've heard
hair
Balls to-
bands. I don't like any of the hair bands of the 80s.
Well,
I'm sorry.
you've heard Balls to the Wall, though.
Yes,
Sure.
yes.
Yeah, that's Accept.
Okay.
That's Accept. They're very similar to AC/DC. One of my favorite bands. Absolutely amazing.
Oh, I'll have to check them out. What year were they recording?
80s, around the same time as AC/DC. They toured with them a few times too.
Would you count Big Star as metal?
I'm not familiar enough. I couldn't say.
Oh, okay. They
What about Stryper? Come on. Give it up to Stryper.
I've owned Stryper and I've been to their concert before, but
Good.
not my thing. I like the new Michael Sweet stuff, but they just aren't my thing. Little like I said, hair band, I'm just not into.
It's okay to be wrong. It's all right.
I know. Come on, a little too much hairspray, not enough hook. Well, actually, I like the hook of stuff like White Snake and things like that, but I'm just kind of Queensryche
The
was
W
a little too
bands.
Smart. What's that?
The W bands, Winger,
Yeah.
White
Yeah.
Lion,
Rat.
Warrant. We're at.
Yeah. So I like Ronnie James Dio.
Dio.
I wouldn't say that's hair metal. That's like more like power metal, but good stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
We all
I like
love
that
Dio.
stuff a little bit. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to have to skip around here a little bit. Harry Henderson says, what are your thoughts on Merkel and her new breakdancing moons?
Her new breakdown. Ooh. Yeah, the old person shuffle. Did you see the clip of Angela Merkel? Oh yeah,
No.
she's the German Hillary now. She was sitting there during what was it, some official government function, and she was doing her best impersonation of Michael J. Fox. She was shimmying and shaking, and something is not right there. And it's like the third time this has happened too.
Now I have to look up the clip.
Something physical is going on. Yeah, if you put like oil and mix in her mouth, you could have blended vinaigrette in the woman's mouth.
Oh wow, yeah.
Bugging Me says, hey, Razor, recently rewatched Justice League Unlimited for the first time in 10 years, and I absolutely love the question. What are your thoughts on the theorist, and how much money would you pay to see Alex Jones cast as him?
How much would I have as the question? Alex Jones is the question? That's a win from me.
That's an absolute win.
And I'm coming.
I like all the memes of him where they green screen him and he runs down the video game screen and blows something up.
yes.
Or
That's
something.
the Minecraft
Over there.
one, yeah.
Yes. I like to eat red meat.
Yeah.
Mussolini donates again to say, Earthworm Jim kicks the butt of Steven Universe.
Yeah.
To the creator.
No Cal Arts here, ladies and gentlemen. No Cal
That's right.
Arts.
We're Warner Brothers, man. We're going back to the 40s. Hey, look at this. In your backer, I assume it's your audience. I'm hitting almost 650. So they're coming in.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Good,
big. That's
guys.
gone up.
Keep
It's about
going.
20K since I've been on your show.
Keep going, send that message. More to the point, you
Yeah.
guys all want an Earthworm Jim comic, ink washed and painted and whatever. Actually, how do you color? Do you do Photoshop? Do you do how do you?
Those were original ink pages, dude. I use this is what I use. This is ink and brush. So this is a Winsor Newton Series 7 brush.
Oh no. I mean for coloring.
Oh, for coloring, it's photoshopped. Yeah, I've
Okay.
got Catherine Garner is my colorist out of the UK.
Does a good job.
She's fantastic. She's like the shyest person on the planet. And she's been working with me for about 15 years. So she is incredible. And I like having a feminine touch on my lines because my lines are so just chunky and goofy. And hers is a real soft touch and emotional touch with the color. So I like what she does.
A good colorist is worth their weight in gold.
Yeah,
Seriously,
she's
they're
incredible.
fantastic.
And that's what's happening is at the next stretch goal, I'm giving her a $10,000 raise, a $10,000 bonus for this project because she has to work around the clock to keep up.
A noble goal, sir.
Mussolini continues, would Psychro and me get along just fine? Could I make a cameo with him?
A meat hook launcher.
Oh, goodness.
He does have a hook launcher that shows up in the comic where, because it's like he's trying to hook a worm is kind of
Yeah.
his theme. Yeah. So yeah, there's a hook launcher on his ship that he uses to capture the bee ship that the princess is flying
That's
around.
factual.
The airplane says, hey, Razor Doug, y'all gonna be at Area 51?
Oh yeah, did you hear about this? People are gonna
No.
march on Area 51 for something.
Yeah, I saw that on CNN.
Oh,
I said, you know what's going to happen? They're going to break in it. They're going to find out that the aliens have all they're all conservative evangelicals, and they're going to be like, hide them again, put them back, hide them. They're going to have like Jack Chick tracks, so they're going to be like, these things are psycho.
now per 2019 logic, if they actually get there and find the aliens, do they have to give them free health care? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is
yeah.
that how
They're
that's
going
gonna
to
go?
Yeah, they're going to let them vote. They're going to let them vote.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
Give them driver's licenses.
Have you heard my theory on aliens that they're all a leftist wet dream? Because they're totally asexual, so you can't tell the men from the women. They have no genitalia. They have giant swollen brains. They're hyper intelligent, and they all have the exact same expression.
They're NPCs,
They are.
and they're
NPCs.
great.
leftist wet dream, and they're always putting things in people's butts.
Oh my god.
So,
I can think of atheist YouTube channels that fit that description. Anyway, let's continue.
Demaster says, Earthworm Jim played no insignificant part of my childhood, so I wanted to thank you for all the memories I haven't needed to suppress. Godspeed.
Godspeed.
that's one. I'm happy that you weren't touched bad by a family member to suppress all those memories. So we'll hold on to that one.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah, and I love my fans that played these games from when they grew up. I really, this is my sense of it, is that God put me here to entertain people, and my job is just to do my best. So when I hear other people, they smiled, or as a kid, it just went in deep. I didn't, I can't plan that. Obviously, I don't know where these things go, but enough people tell me that enough that it really makes me feel very satisfied as an entertainer. It's no fun to try and entertain and not have an audience. If you do your YouTube channel and 2 people show up, it's great that you have 2 people, but it's always greater when you have 100,000 people showing up. You're doing the same show, but you're doing it well. It's a great confirmation.
Right.
Mark Mann asks a rather sensitive question, so I'll try to phrase it the right way.
Say hello to Miss Eve, by the way, for me. She's back there somewhere.
Somewhere. Doug, what is your opinion on the more questionable fan art for Earthworm Jim? How does that make you feel? Are you okay with it?
Oh dear.
I can't hear it. Can you repeat?
Oh, what is your take on the more air quotes questionable fan art for Earthworm Jim?
Oh no, I love it. I love
Do
it.
you?
Yeah, seriously. I actually don't like when people do super crazy high-end polished stuff, because I like the idea that other people are trying for the first time to draw, or it looks like passion. It's almost like when your kid comes up and hands you one of his drawings that I drew you, Daddy, and you don't go like, nice composition, really bad rhythm here, nice anatomy, way off. It is they love the character.
Yeah. By the way, did I tell you the story of Brian Michael Bendis at the comic convention?
No.
Now, I don't mind some of Bendis's comics as far as when he's writing, right?
Yeah.
But Bendis, a lot of people don't remember, began as an illustrator / writer. And he's a terrible illustrator. He's just terrible. So he was sitting there doing critiques of comic book art. And mind you, this was right when I was starting. I had already had some stuff published, and I was just starting out doing comics. And so I'm standing in line, and I had a friend he was the main reason we were going there, because, I was already kind of doing it. But he was going to have his portfolio critiqued. There's a guy behind us, or a guy in front of us, he was like the Michelangelo of comic art. It was unbelievable. He was incredible. He was like Barry Wrightson or Bernie Wrightson or something. He was it was incredible work. And we're sitting there like, man, Bendis is going to be blown away by this guy. Bendis could not have been a bigger heaving cockhead to this guy. Yeah. He was like, oh, that bad perspective there. You don't understand. Terrible composition. Just god awful. I can't believe that this is. And I'm like, I'm sitting here like, I read Goldfish, asshole. I know what your art looks like, okay? I could do better with kid pics.
I'm the last guy in the world who can criticize someone else's art, but I see from the chat they said that I got that question wrong. That I think they were talking more about the pornified Earthworm Jim or something.
They were talking about the Rule 34 Earthworm Jim.
Oh yeah. I haven't
Earthworm Gimp. I think
I haven't seen much of that, and I'm kind of thankful.
Good. Let's see. I'm gonna try to keep it to questions here. Cameron would like to know, for the both of you, your favorite non-Jim characters in the Earthworm Jim games.
Oh yeah, favorite non-Jim characters in the Earthworm Jim game.
Evil the cat.
Evil the cat.
And you?
Bitch in design, funny character. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know. For me, the cow.
Yeah, the cow. We just stole that joke straight out of Monty Python.
Oh, straight, yeah.
That's all we did.
It's funny too, because when I was a kid, you don't know. And
That's
then
right.
later on as a teenager, you finally watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and it's like, wait a minute, did they steal that from Earthworm Jim?
We just didn't steal it from that, but if you look at Terry Gilliam's directing style, he does the little paper cutout thing and he'll just smash something down. So the cow has no animation. He just like he's a cutout, just goes boom on on him at the end. Total Terry Gilliam, straight out of Monty Python. Yeah.
Exactly.
And now it's like so passé to steal to quote Monty Python. It's like so 20 years ago. Yeah.
Non-Vitae Rex
Not that it's going to stop me.
has a
No.
question for Razor. Not that I'm complaining, but why did you ultimately decide to do a King Diamond mythos before the Merciful Fate mythos?
Why did I do... Oops, sorry, a minute. And my webcam decided to freeze. Okay, sorry about that. I decided to do King Diamond first because... I wanted to do King Diamond first. I'm a bigger fan of King Diamond than Merciful Fate. I like them both, but I'm a bigger fan of King Diamond personally. So that's why I did King Diamond first. Very simple.
Let's see. I'm gonna assume this is Oni. Says, I hope the Earthworm Fist becomes a T-shirt.
Yes!
Earthworm Fist
shirt.
Yeah, if I did that, I'd probably get sued by my own licensing boss. But I'll get right on that.
Yeah, you don't have... For those who are not aware, there are specific rights for specific properties.
Yeah.
I know I'm a big BattleTech fan.
Yeah.
The same thing happened with BattleTech. Microsoft owns the IP, but they licensed out the video game rights to these guys and the other rights to these guys, and merchandising rights are their own thing. So you would actually have
everything I create for this comic, Interplay owns. So if I create a new character, which I'm fine with, they get it. That's just how if it goes in the book. So if I drew you in the comic, they would literally own you.
Oh. That's
all right.
scary.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah. So
Interplay,
if I put you in there, they're just gonna, they own
I
you.
like Interplay, but I don't like Interplay.
I don't want to marry him. Yeah.
Halo Shot says, Yo Razor, love your vids, and Doug, I recently got your Image comic book gear. You're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Gear was one of my first books I did back in the late 90s with Rob Schraub and all those guys. And then later Image picked it up and we put it out in color. And so Catherine, who's coloring Earthworm Jim, was the colorist on that book. And that book became Cat Scratch on Nickelodeon. There.
Cat Scratch. There she goes.
Cat Scratch.
Yay!
There you go.
There you go.
Roy Vasquez says, question for Doug. What long-term plans do you have after the success of your Indiegogo?
My plan has always been kind of long-term, 3 to 5 years. I'm trying to do 3 to 5 books. So I'm going to do, it goes Bigfoot Bill, Earthworm Jim, Bigfoot Bill 2, Earthworm Jim 2, 2 books a year for 3 to 5 years or till I drop. So I'm trying to do it. It's an epic story. It's a big story.
The European style. So basically he's doing the bande dessinée thing where it's it's kind of mini graphic novels.
Yeah, these are 160 page books. So they're going to be hopefully 5 books is what I'd like to do if I can.
Yeah, I've said many a time, I think that's the way forward for American comics. I don't know why the American industry is so far behind on this. Trades continue to sell, but single issues just go down and down and down more.
I've only done, in fact, Gear was the only book that I did single issues on. And after that, I did only graphic novels. So this is my 18th graphic novel. I don't have interest in the smaller comics.
Wow. S Serpent 21 asks, can Earthworm Fist team up with Earthworm Bronson?
Earthworm Bronson! Oh dear.
Is that a Charles Bronson? Wait, is that Charles Bronson or the Bronson in the movie?
Oh yes. In this house, we respect Bronson.
Sure. Hey, Magnificent Seven. That's
right.
He's the good one.
Rock and roll.
I'm just I'm having to skip around here, guys. Sorry.
Right. We're not going to be able to get to everybody because it's just like an absolute deluge. So I apologize, guys, if you don't have your donation read, but definitely check out the Indiegogo while we're doing this because I don't want to keep this guy all night.
I know. I got a pack still for tomorrow. Come on.
How much longer do I have with you, by the way?
Just wrap it up when you can. I mean, no emergency or anything, but just find me a good out.
Alrighty, sir.
I mean, dude, it's what time is it right now? It's 10:15,
Right.
and I fly out tomorrow at 4 a.m.
Oh goodness.
and I have to work on the plane. So
Do
look
that
at
math.
this. Yeah, do the math.
Jay Center says, favorite Earthworm Jim villain? Mine is the Evil the Cat and Psycho. Wasn't there also a spin-off called Boogerman, the pick and flick adventure?
No, Boogerman.
was a
Boogerman's
ripoff.
trash. Boogerman is by Interplay, so same company, different creator.
Kind of a ripoff, I always felt.
And he was a 2D animated, cartoony guy, so I can see why they might make that mistake. But no, he's not part of the Earthworm Jim universe or anything to do with our team. Just same company.
I'm looking for questions here. Taco Twister says, Doug, thanks so much for the Neverhood. Any chance of for re-release on GOG or Steam?
I do know that Good Old Games GOG has talked to Interplay. I mean, EA. EA is the rights holder of my game, The Neverhood, which I created. It's all clay animation with. Where's my? Oh, here it is. This is Clayman is a statue. So this is the first game that I made with Spielberg funded my company after Earthworm Jim came out, and we did a clay animated game.
That was part of that big push he made where he did they did the DreamWorks Interactive, and then they did Jurassic Park Trespasser, which I always liked. I like that game, even though it's weird and buggy. And
so EA bought DreamWorks Interactive, and that's how Neverhood ended up over there.
Right.
And it's very hard to get IP out of EA. So I know that Good Old Games has tried, and good luck.
Stokes says, when can we expect an Earthworm Jim RPG?
An Earthworm Jim that kind of goes to a question I asked earlier, where I was saying, different forms of gameplay within the Earthworm Jim IP.
The specific I'm a big fan of RPGs, so I don't, or MMORPGs even. I don't see why not, but I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know how far out of the wheelhouse the fans would be okay with.
I would, if you were to do it in a purely hypothetical scenario, would you do more of a Western style RPG, or would you do more of like a classic Japanese, turn-based, almost?
I would like that much better. It'd be a lot funner.
Kind of a parody of like a Final Fantasy, but in outer space.
Yeah, and those games, man, the effects work in them are just nuts now. Like, I don't even know what kind of team you'd get to do that.
Right.
Oh, we got an echo going. Necroner says, Doug, I completely missed Jim, but I will tell you, I love the Neverhood. The humor and adventure was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. I regret not mentioning the Neverhood there.
The Neverhood and the sequel was Skull Monkeys that we put out on the Sony. So I love clay animation, and that was kind of my artistic statement to video games. Is video games should be doing a lot more fun things than they're doing.
I really, of all the forms of animation, I mean, I miss traditional 2D animation, but I really miss claymation.
Yeah, me too.
Growing up on James and the Giant Peach and.
Yeah, and a big influence on me was Gumby back in the 50s when I was raised in the by 69 or 70. I was watching little Gumby episodes, so that animation was just magic to me.
I got to go down to Universal Studios right when they were making Chicken Run, which was probably that was probably the last big claymation movie that ever really was made. Good movie, but
by Aardman. Yeah, that was their biggest Aardman one, and that was huge. That was fantastic.
That was a good one.
No Face Required says, when I was a kid, before my older brother left for the military, he gave me his old SNES. One of the very first games I ever played was the first Earthworm Jim. Glad to see you're still going strong.
Cool.
Stronger than ever with the, I mean, geez.
Yeah, I know, right? This is like the hugest thing in my life. And, but it did. It all started with that little game, and
people,
I didn't know what I was creating when I created. I didn't think this would go anywhere. I'm going, I fart these characters out every day.
Well, people might think that's hyperbole, but we really have to put that in context. I mean, in the 90s, the video game industry was not what it is today, and certainly creators did not have a whole lot of financial and often even creative stock in a lot of the stuff that was going out. And this is hands-on with the original creator, actually getting out there and, he's going to benefit the most. Sorry, Cicero is going to town out there.
This is actually my payback kind of for the first time. It's working for me from a business standpoint. And that alone is satisfying after being frustrated for 27 years. It's just a really a rare, unique time. I can't believe how blessed I am. I can't believe how good people are to me. Like, it just in an age where everyone's complaining about how mean everyone is on Twitter, like I said about last night, all the social media blowing up in support. This has been a weird time for me. Strangely, I just feel bulletproof. I feel completely bulletproof. So I'll probably die in my sleep tonight.
Right? The rubber band is due to swing in the opposite direction. Of course. I fully expect
drop,
a low-flying traffic copter to get you.
Yeah.
Sometime.
But one of the things I like about the past Earthworm Jim history stuff is I'm doing a making of book along with the comic book as a second book that you can get, Earthworm Jim, the making of. I'm documenting the entire history of the Shiny team, where we came from, how we got together, and what we've done since Earthworm Jim. Right. And there's exclusive stuff, behind the scenes interviews of Tommy Tallarico. I just interviewed them all 2 weeks ago. The original 10 guys, we get back together and meet. And it was a really neat time together. And I got to shake out a lot of information. I didn't know before exactly what was happening before I came to Shiny, when I brought Earthworm Jim there, right. How that deal went down and all that stuff. And it all plays into the history of Earthworm Jim.
By the way, minor update, 651,578.
Oh yeah. You guys are great. You're insane. But see, this is this is you guys. You guys do this. Yeah. I can't do this.
Good stuff, folks.
Architect of Fate says, Doug, will you sneak Razor onto Nick Vic's stream tonight? Remember, it's for the fans.
Yeah, I'll go show up on Nick's stream for about 30 seconds and say, hey, invite Razor Fit. and then I'll leave and go to bed.
Go do my job for me so I can pass out.
I know, he's asking me to come on. I'm going like, dude, and I can't lie to you and say I have to go to bed and then go over on Nick's stream, but I actually need to pack.
Yeah.
And Nick, I owe him, right. But I need to pack.
Well, let's get him out of here. Let's blaze through 4 or 5 more and then get him the heck out of here. T Boogie and I can finish answering these.
You can just pretend to be me, and you can answer them in my voice and eviscerate me with my answer, like get me into all kinds of lawsuits.
And then we could do we could play some Earthworm Jim while we answer the rest or something.
Yeah.
Let's see. Best Way Killer says, my introduction to Earthworm Jim was through the supremely awesome Clay Fighter 63 in the third. Proud to say I contributed to helping this character return. Keep being awesome, Doug.
God, I love Clay Fighter.
Yeah, see, Clay Animation. Earthworm Jim was in it. I got to see those puppets at Interplay when I visited them.
Yeah,
I got to go see all those puppets.
I dug Clay Fighter a lot.
And they're huge. They're like this big. I mean,
a lot of people. That's a big misconception. A lot of people have about miniatures in movies or claymation figures. They're actually fairly large because you want to be able to pack in as much detail as you possibly can. And the bigger it is,
and it's really hard to build the mechanics for a tiny figure this tall. So it's easier to get the ball and socket joints right the bigger you go. Not too big, because then the weight starts being a problem, but big enough to where you can machine them really easy. Using normal tools.
Okay, let's do 4 more or so.
Gotcha. Benjamin says, Earthworm Jim on Genesis was my favorite gaming time along Sonic. Best gaming time of my life, personally.
Nice.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, and I like Sonic, too. I like playing Sonic. I hate the character. I think it's trash, but I like the game. Yeah. The original Sonic game is...
Sonic always was so frustrating for me, because the way the game is structured, it makes you want to run to the right. Just keep running.
Yeah, that's right.
And then it punishes you for doing that. Over and
That's all
over
you got to do. Yeah, it'll put a spike there. You're going really fast, and there's a spike there. And
it's
bing.
Come on.
Oh. That's why they had to throw rings everywhere for you to collect them and not die. That's the only reason they put rings bouncing around everything.
I do like Sonic, but that always drove me nuts.
Yep.
/Halen says, hi, Doug. Just curious. Do you wish to be remembered more as a video game creator, animator, or comic book artist / writer, or something else? What do you see yourself as more?
Professionally, I want to be seen as a good storyteller. And so the best medium for that is comics. But more important by that, I want to be remembered as just a decent guy, a decent family man, an outspoken Christian,
So not a
and
politician.
yeah, and someone who did not kiss the ring to culture. Fuck culture is what I want to be remembered as.
Well, I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. You've contributed a fair bit to the at least the popular culture.
It's true. It's true. And I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to provide better things to make people happy. I'm not grinding out Sausage Party or something that's just like kind of, I don't want to do disposable stuff. It's why I'm putting them in hardbound books. I want things that hopefully will be funny 50 years from now and will make people smile even then, is what I'm trying to do. And when you start dealing in the language of truth, goodness, and beauty, it can never be true enough or good enough or beautiful enough. So I'm never liking the smell of my own farts. I'm trying to stand on my toes and go higher and higher, because the values that I approach are nearly unattainable. I just feel like that's what my audience is trusting me to do, to go up there and grab a great story and bring it down and share it with them. If I can just tell a few more good stories and make people laugh, people who played the games as a kid, that turns me on. But I just don't think a lot of our pop culture is going to last that long. And it's because there probably aren't things that are in there that will be true 100 years from now, because they're following culture instead of speaking the kinds of things that were true 1,000 years ago and will be true 1,000 years from now.
Nice. And only Caleb would like to know, what is your favorite game that you haven't created?
Oh, good question.
Oh yeah, I almost always play only games I haven't created.
Right.
I think the greatest game I ever played was Command and Conquer.
Right.
Is my favorite all time. Just the real time strategy stuff.
That was
is my favorite.
Big man. That was a boom that went bust awful quick. And I think,
really did.
I think too quick. It was like between the years of 97 and 2001 or so. And
yeah, I love Tiberium Sun, and you can still play it for free on CNC Net. They have downloadable versions where you and your friends can play Command and Conquer. I like that one. I played that one a lot, but even like Lemmings back in the day, I liked a lot.
Right. Yeah.
I like simple games, Tetris and stuff like that. And I'll also still play Call of Duty Zombies with the kids. I played Octageddon on the Switch by the guy that did Plants vs. Zombies. Rich Werner's a friend of mine. So I like a good game. I don't like the kind where I have to put my whole life into it. So I'm not going to be doing Warcraft or all these things where you have to like just play for years. I was like, I don't got that kind of time anymore.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have a lot of that problem, but I still want the really involved gaming experiences. The challenge is putting the time aside for it.
Yeah, and they know that this is a long haul game, so they're not going to give you a whole lot of stuff to learn in the first couple of sessions. It tends to be a little bit slower and boring because they know, look, this is a long game. We have to build them up over time or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, look, just give me something that plays well now. Oh, I played, I got the Diablo 3, the old version on the Switch too. And me and my 4 kids play that a lot too.
Right.
And this is a good one to go out on.
Good one to end it on.
Winnie says, hey there, just wanted to say thanks. Earthworm Jim was the game my dad was able to play with me when he was bedridden before cancer got him. So thank you.
Good stuff.
That hits me deep.
And I think we can end it there.
We'll go ahead and let you go on that note, that rather sentimental note. I can't thank you enough.
What a wonderful comment. That just warms my heart. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I can't thank you enough for coming on, Doug. I had a blast with you on your stream.
Yeah, we'll do it again, dude. I'll keep throwing you the link and invite you on my show. Doug TenNapel on YouTube. I'll come back on some other time, dude, when I have some time. I just need a 2-week vacation. Anytime after that, I'll live on this freaking show till you can't get rid of me. So just give me back tonight.
Folks, one last call for all of you. Hit up that Indiegogo. Take it as high as humanly possible, and more importantly, reserve your copy, because this first print run's completely unique, as he said. It's the only one of its kind. There will be more printings, of course, because why would you not serve your market? But
that's right.
There's only one first printing, and it's only going to be like this the one time.
That's right. And thank you guys already for your generosity. I can't thank you guys enough. So, and thanks for sharing your show. Raise your fist. I appreciate it. God bless you guys.
Godspeed, sir. And now get some freaking rest.
Gotta go. Bye-bye.
And with that, he has been cow launched out of our stream, folks. I think we will. Oh, hello, Cicero. Cicero's right here.
He's too black.
He is too black. You can't really see him.
Disowned.
Oops. Sorry about that. I unplugged my mic for a second there. There we go. Mic reconnected. Okay, folks. I think I'll go ahead and try and play a little bit of Earthworm Jim while we get to the rest of these questions. I hope too many of them aren't for Doug. I apologize if they are, but we'll finish out the last of these donations, and I will rock some Earthworm Jim. So
Good call.
Probably not the Genesis version, sadly. After all that praise, unfortunately, I think I've got the SNES version though. So let's see here.
Should I begin?
Yes, sir. Sorry, could you go ahead and repeat that question?
Fireheart says, did you hear Julian Castro say trans women sure have the right to abortion during the Democratic debate on Wednesday?
No, I didn't. I've absorbed as little information, if you want to call it information, from those fucking debates as is humanly possible. No, I hadn't heard that, unfortunately. Everybody, like I said, before any of this happened, they'll be trying to viciously out-left each other, and it's not a sustainable strategy. It's one of the things I said Trump basically, unless he murders a man in cold blood, I just don't see him losing, because it's just they're completely out of step with the average voter at this point, and they can only get farther and farther out of step with the average voter because their base demands it at this point. And you can see that. Even Biden raised his hand for health care for illegal aliens. Ponder that for a beat. There were so many times over the course of that debate where all Biden had to do to win was say, are you people fucking insane? Are you insane? And he didn't do it. He wanted to fit in instead. I think that was kind of the moment. His poll numbers have plummeted for exactly that reason, I think. He did not come off good in the debates. Not merely in terms of his discourse, but in terms of filing in with the rest of the herd, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and try and boot this game up while you ask some more questions, sir.
Mercenary says, also, guys, did you see what happens now that with Disney, besides the brawl, Disney World had a rabies outbreak? I think that Spider-Man tombstone thing may have been the straw, and karma is coming to collect. To collect. Yeah, well, that's not how we put it. Karma is coming a calling. And karma is God's point system.
Oh, God. All right, let's see here. Oh, shoot. I actually have to plug in my controller real quick. Do that.
William Silva says, hey, everyone, longtime fan, and I got a story for y'all. When me and my brother moved into our house, we discovered a cabinet that had Earthworm Jim drawn on it, and before you ask, yes, we kept it. Sorry about that, William, but our friend had to turn in for the night. It is getting late.
All right. Do please tell me if it is capturing this footage, please.
I'll let you know.
We'll go Earthworm Jim here.
Yep,
Okay, cool.
emulator's up.
We got some Earthworm Jim, folks, so we'll play that in the background while we answer the rest of these questions.
Reverend Varga says, thank you for streaming. You both are legend, and I appreciate your time. Best Way Killer. Oh, no, I already read that one. Yeah, sorry about that, folks, but I did have to skip around. Our guest had to leave. Mussolini says, respecto if you draw me as Psychro. Boppity boopity.
Boppity boopity.
I read that one. Andreja.
This guy always gets me. Ah,
Oh,
this
your
prick.
balls.
No, not my balls. Anything but my balls. There we go. That fucking guy always gets me.
Andreja Jovanovic says, I'm a hardcore Dick Masterson libertarian, so the idea that I'm a soy boy is insulting. But since I'm a nice guy, I won't demand satisfaction. Instead, I'll channel my anger into push-ups. So I guess you helped me out, Doug. Praise Razor.
Okay.
You go, guy.
The airplane says we need Sabaton in Earthworm Jim.
We do need it.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine Sabaton background music?
Here we go. Whoa. There we go. Let's do the pulley system there.
Ted Rod says, I'm so offended. Y'all just alt-right Russian trolls.
It's true. Alt-right space earthworm Russian trolls.
I have no idea what you're talking about, comrade. Let's see.
Boopity.
Commissar Hughes says, I hear Razor doesn't like the T-Bolt from Battletech, and I must challenge him to a Bachal for its honor.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not one of my favorites. It's not that I hate it. It's just, I you know, if I had to pick among my favorite heavy and assault mechs, it would not be among them. Alright, let's try that. Oh! See, this is encouraging gun violence, this game.
Dickelson says the Peter Puppy quote was basically, thanks for offering to end a world war, but we have a bomb we like to try out. The airplane says, Doug, listen to Stryper. Stryper is God-given gift.
Indeed! I don't know why the man, come on, doesn't listen to Stryper. Come on.
Boag donates to say, this is for Razor's amazing catwalk. You were doing a little bit of a strut there.
I can't help how I walk. I got the ass to back up the sass.
Eric Norman says, then the winged earthworms arrived.
Oh!
Troom says, end is today? Take my money. Yes, is today the last day for the Earthworm Jim?
It is tonight it ends.
Gonna have to do that when I get home.
We are, I mean, it is absolutely crushing it right now, which is awesome. I can't thank you guys enough for supporting this. I mean, I'm sure you guys wanted an Earthworm Jim comic anyway, though. I don't think I need to thank you too vociferously. It's not like, yeah, don't get anything out of it.
Random Goon says, except are more amazing now that than they've ever been.
Yeah, they're a freaking machine. I'm a little worried though. They lost their manager and Peter Baltus, the bassist, the longtime bassist and Code songwriter and backup vocalist, has left. So I'm kind of weirded out. I don't know what's gonna happen with the band after this, but we'll see.
Check them out, please. Doug, would you ever consider making a point-and-click platformer shooter Earthworm Jim game?
Yeah, unfortunately, he can't answer that question.
Sorry about that, guys.
I do try to forego the Doug questions too much, because
Yeah.
obviously he's not around to answer them. Sorry about that, guys, but he did have to get going, because it's getting damn late.
JC Gaming says, hear me out. Earthworm Jim in the Doom universe.
In the Dune universe?
Doom.
Doom?
Doom.
Oh, okay. I'm more interested in the Dune universe, personally.
Well, I mean, come on.
Oh, I love this. I always loved this. You have to shoot to propel yourself. I fucking love it. Ingenious game design right there. Such a simple thing. Whoa! Whoa! Shit. I
Oh
fell.
my god, what a question.
What's up?
Supa asks, if you were forced to pick between any types of communism, which would you go with? Marxist, Luxembourgist, etc.
Maybe Menshevik? I don't know.
Jesus.
I think a bullet to the brain.
By the way,
That's the
still
only type of communism that works.
still a commie and agreeing with you 90% of the time. Just Eastern Europe things. Goodness gracious. We've got commie fans. What's the world coming to?
What? So what?
Mercenary X
We
says,
got a boss here?
how much one of bed Merkel's gonna join? How much are you gonna? My God. Proofread your shit. How much you want to bet Merkel's gonna join the old folks' home that Ginsburg's at?
Whoa. Apologize, I am well out of practice at this game. We're just playing so we can get through these. How much do I want to bet? What about Merkel?
Merkel's gonna join the old folks' home that Ginsburg is at.
You mean Madame Tussauds?
I'm guessing she's going to be next door, and I don't think Biden is far off from it either. I believe aliens do exist.
You know, Biden's problem is not just that he looks old, it's that he's got that plasticine, like plastic surgery old guy look, where he's starting to look like a wax figurine. Like, he's not even looking real. He's got the veneers and that. He's had the hair plugs, the really bad doll hair plugs for a long fucking time. He's starting to look like the Joker, and it's not really working for him.
He concludes,
I don't know why he would think that looks better than just looking like an old guy, but
I believe aliens do exist, but they're all conservative. God's middle finger to the left.
oh, come on, how did I get hit there? You know? If they made it to space, I'd have to suspect they're not communists.
Yeah.
I'd have to say.
Because you'd have to be smart enough to get to space, right?
Right.
Stealth Creation says, Razor, when you say that there are a few aesthetic YouTube channels that would fit that description, don't you mean that would fit that size of probe?
Atheistic, he means.
Chris Nunez says, Hail, Razor, T, Boogie, and Doug. Doug, God bless you. Oh, I'm sorry, he's not here anymore. Your streams are one of the highlights of my week. Keep on rocking.
Godspeed. All right, let's see if I can do this without dying. Damn it! I need to... Can you shoot that out of the air before it hits you, or... Damn it! It has been too long since I played this game. I don't remember. Did I waste him? Did I waste him? Yes, I did.
Richard
Got
Slammer
lucky
says...
there. I won't pretend. It's been too long since I played this, guys. I apologize for my scrubby play.
Richard Slammer says, Doug, no. Skip that. T-Boogie, I challenge you tonight. How much money is it going to take for a face reveal? More than $10. Not that I have any of that money, I'm just asking. It's not worth it for me.
He's not cheap.
Troy Baker's gravelly voice says, Razor, how do you like Lee Bermejo's art?
I loved Lee Bermejo's art. I've always liked Lee Bermejo a lot.
Can you name off a few? I'm not familiar.
He did the Daredevil covers for a lot of the Brubaker run. He did, for the Ed Brubaker like Daredevil stuff. He did Batman, a lot of Legends of the Dark Knight stuff. He was like Hush Returns. A lot of those covers were him. He has kind of an angular kind of a look to him. Damn it.
Captain Fineapple.
I'm clearly not doing something right here.
Captain Fineapple says, first Indiegogo campaign and first Super Chat. Throwing some shekels at the Razor. Also, Razor, I want to draw a book for you.
Draw a book?
You don't
I
have
don't
to
need
do
a
that.
drawing of a book, sir.
Yes, Razor is an artist. He can draw it himself.
At least you're not drawing a bath for me. That's the important thing.
Doug's not here anymore, but this is a decent enough question. I think Razor can answer it. Zach West asks, I assigned Bad Island to my Korean 6th graders this year. Any recommendations for other age-appropriate English graphic novels?
Oh, gosh. Age-appropriate English. Yeah, there's a few really good ones. I really like, there's a comic called Batazad that is done by, what's the guy's name? DeMatteis. It was written by DeMatteis. Very, very good age-appropriate graphic novel. Also, Meridian is a really good sort of G-rated graphic novel about this girl who gets like magical powers in this sort of weird, I want to say kind of a steampunky sort of a fantasy world where there's like flying airships and stuff. Not steampunk airships, but like flying pirate ships and such. It's really cool. It's actually really cool. And it's got great art from Steve McNiven and from Josh Middleton, both of whom I'm a big fan of. So those would be two of my recommendations.
Oh, thank you very much. Mr. DJ Fly High says, imagine Earthworm Jim as an anime.
I mean,
Let's hope it would be better than the X-Men anime.
I mean, it was already a cartoon, and a very good cartoon, I must say.
Paul, sorry that Doug's not here anymore. But thank you all for donating, all the same. Sorry, Troom. He had to leave. Drab Heart.
Miss Eve is going to try to play here. She'll probably die like me.
Yeah. Is it frozen?
It's just paused.
Oh, it's paused? Okay.
You know how to unpause.
Yeah. Alright.
There we go.
She's never played this before, so forgive her.
Oh.
Oh, don't use that. That speeds it up.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Just use
Oh.
the buttons. Yeah, these buttons.
These two? Ah.
You're letting me loose?
She's learning how to play, so forgive her.
Drab Heart says, I'm still dreaming of a Legend of
Shoot 'em.
Dragoon remake.
Oh, you can't shoot those things away?
Ah!
Oh my god. Why isn't he dying?
I don't know. But hey, keep doing what you're doing.
I'm clearly shooting at him.
Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing better than me. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Stay right where you were. Oh! Keep going. Oh, yeah, you're out of ammo.
Ah. Let
Boom!
me try again, guys. Let me try again.
You gotta start from the beginning now.
Drab Heart just said, I'm still dreaming of a Legend of Dragoon remake.
Yeah, same here.
Stymie just says Rage, but thank you very much.
Godspeed. Thank you for joining us. T-Boogie.
What? I'm reading ahead here.
Keep going.
Debonair Nerd says, why is there an exclamation point in the title of this stream? I hate exclamation points. Get rid of the exclamation point. It's not like Eve had a baby or Taryn put on a sweatshirt. Double exclamation.
Thank you, Elaine Bennis's boyfriend from Seinfeld.
Black Bull says, finally I got to catch
Jake Jarmel over here.
a stream.
Hold down jump while you're doing
Did
that.
Doug also create Boogerman for SNES and
No,
Genesis?
somebody
No.
asked that earlier, but
Yeah.
no. It was a bit of a Earthworm Jim ripoff, I always felt.
Malachi says, fave light mechs.
Favorite light mags? I love the Raven. I like is it the Enforcer? I've always liked the Enforcer. Which is, by the way, is a tribute to Clint Eastwood, that mech. That's why it's named after a Dirty Harry movie.
And he says, favorite light mechs. Ha! Medium,
Medium, blackjack.
Crab Bushwhacker for him. Heavy, Marauder, Warhammer, T-Bolt, and Assault Awesome King Crab. Yours, question mark. I think you already answered all those.
Yeah, heavy, I've always liked the catapult. For assault, obviously, my favorite mech is the Mauler.
Favorite... Oh, sorry.
Oh, and I like the dragon. It's not that good, but I've always just had an affection for the dragon. I think the grasshopper is pretty beastly. Jump.
I'm going.
Jump. You have to climb.
House Merrick forever. By the way, read Savage Tales of Solomon Kane twice in 1 week.
Nice.
Very cool.
Aren't they just bad? Aren't pulp stories just badass? They don't have to be super impactful or, stress about the inner workings of the human psyche. It's just plot-driven fun, right?
And we only have a few left.
Oh.
Oh!
What the fuck? My brain.
Get him! Get him!
Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
Ah! Get him!
Ah!
Get him! Got him!
Paul says, hey, Razor. The voice clip yelling, hey, at the end of each Earthworm Jim 1 Planet Descent part is Lance Henriksen from the Terminator Police Station Massacre. Well, that's what you know Lance Henriksen for?
Scratch your ass.
I think so.
Troy Baker's gravelly voice says, Razor, I just played Bioshock Infinite Burial at Sea, and it made me upset.
Ah!
Can you help?
Yeah, sure. Play a better game.
There you go. See, it's that easy.
Shoot it! Shoot it!
Fucking bitch.
Shoot him!
Fucking bullshit.
Ah!
Boax says, Boogie, read this from left to right. You effin' weeb? Sorry, that was all backwards. I had to read that. Captain Fineapple says, a fellow artist. That's awesome. Where can I see your art, Razor?
I've posted it on my website a few times. I did a Ninja Turtles fan comic thing. I did like a Thief thing, actually, for the Thief game series. I did a short Silent Hill comic. I did some other stuff that was original as well, that was published in anthology magazines and stuff. But that's my... I've posted it before. It's on my website.
And,
Shoot him!
if we could have one of them...
Shoot her!
If we could have one of the mods put up our Tumblr into the... a Tumblr link in the chat, please.
Ah! Shoot him down! Down, shoot! Down, shoot! There you
My ass.
go.
Doug Chan says, hi, Razor. As Liberty Prime once said, communism, the definition of failure.
Jump over on
That really makes me want to buy another copy of Fallout 3, a true classic. Also, ever gonna do the good, the bad, and the ugly Rageaholic Cinema?
What would be on Rageaholic Cinema? Sorry.
The good, the bad, and the ugly?
I'd probably do for a few dollars more instead. That's my favorite in that series.
Sven says, hey, Razor, are you going to see Sabaton in October?
Then you gotta shoot to move yourself. Boop. Oh, you bit your ass!
My ass.
So are you going to see Sabaton in October?
Are they coming to Phoenix in October?
I'm not sure. He doesn't
Going to
say.
Chicago to see them.
Oh yeah?
Yep.
John Everyman says, Razor Eve, any good workout tips? What I've been doing hasn't been doing anything for me, and I'm trying to put a new routine together. Godspeed.
We don't know what you're trying to do.
Yeah, depends on your goals, man. All I do is not a long workout routine, but I do it every single night. I never really take a night off. So that's how I stay in shape, is mainly just consistency. I'll do it. It's stacked up over time. Like, I started out just doing 80 push-ups or whatever, and lifting a barbell or whatever 80 times. And you start small as you need to, and then gradually you just add more. You double it, right? One night when you're feeling strong, and then that just becomes part of your routine. Till now, I'll lift it 200 times and do 300 push-ups and whatever. But it doesn't take that long. I mainly just have a short, intense workout that I do every single night.
All right.
That's my advice. Eve is much more into more intense, focused workouts and such.
Oh, and Sven just donated to say they will be in Phoenix October 10th.
Right on.
I fucking give up.
You should have shot him.
Our last one is Visions of Color says, is there an issue men collectively face, dropout rates, suicide, family court, etc., you find to be most important, and can I use your response for the International Conference on Men's Issues podcast?
I mean, I would say probably the way family courts invariably err on the woman's side, almost irrespective of specific details and the fitness of the mother. Probably the most prominent example of this would be Anders Breivik, and the many mind you, this was in Norway, this was not in the United States, but it is sort of microcosmic of what goes on in the United States as well. This is not an outlier. And, his mother apparently molested him when he was very young. She had a drinking problem. Clearly just not a fit mother. Father was a politician and had issues of his own, but nowhere near his mother. Anders Breivik was fucked with as a kid. I mean, there was no shortage of there was an absolute fleet of red flags about this mother, and they still erred on her side because she had a vagina. And really, if at any point the father, who had been denied custody again and again and again, had been given custody to this child, the shooting in Norway probably wouldn't have happened. It probably, we would have avoided that 100%. It's a tragedy, but unfortunately, it's also encapsulatory of the problem the world over. I really feel like that's the biggest problem, is the way family courts automatically err on the side of the woman and almost don't even look into the situation. I mean, for a woman to lose custody of her children, she really has to go above and beyond with abuse, which is one of the reasons I don't believe Lita Ford when she says, oh, my children were turned against me and everything. Do you have any idea how extraordinarily you have to fuck up as a mother to lose custody of your kids compared to a father in the United States of America? Do you have any idea? I just don't believe it for a minute. I'm sorry.
And we actually got two more in. Troy Baker's gravelly voice says, Razor, how come you never did a review of The Defenders? It wasn't great, but I'd like to know your thoughts.
The Daredevil stuff was cool. I feel like the Daredevil stuff could have been a proper third season of Daredevil. If you just cut everybody else out, I would have liked it for within that context. The other characters didn't do a whole lot that mattered. Luke Cage didn't matter a whole lot. Jessica Jones, I literally can't remember anything she said or did over the course of The Defenders. Iron Fist, I just remember having to be captured and punching a guy one time or something. Like, I honestly do not remember what anyone did except Daredevil.
Yeah.
Honestly, just should have been Daredevil Season 3.
And our final one comes from The Airplane. Ha! You thought it was almost over, but it was I! And that is it.
All right, folks. Thank you guys so much. Whoopsie. Thank you guys so much for joining us on tonight's stream and for helping Doug make this a massive success. I hope you guys all enjoy the Earthworm Jim comic. I know I will, having donated to it myself. Folks, you are absolutely fantastic. This was an absolute blast. For T-Boogie, for Cicero and Miss Eve, I'm Razor Fist. God God fucking speed.